Okay, hey guys, Shop Talk Podcast, episode 29. Another in-studio guest. We have Chad Dyrdahl in studio tonight. Thanks for coming here, Chad.
Absolutely.
This is going to be a good one.
I think so. Yeah.
So we had Wes in here for 3 hours. So
speaking of that, I think I seen Wes. There's a paraglider over Clearwater Lake.
Could have been him.
Yeah, I thought it was a UFO, but no, just Wes.
Yeah, no, so it was good to get you in here, Chad, before farming fires up full time. So it's a good little window. So we had Brian in here, now Chad, and I've already talked to Brady about it, but Brady said we got to wait till like this winter when we're laid off again to get him in here. So
right, he's pretty busy on Sundays usually with the kids and stuff.
yeah, and we can even get Sharon in here too.
Yeah,
I liked what you said is that your mom has probably been to more races than most race directors.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she never misses one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, between dirt track races and as far as cars and then motocross and snowmobiles, she's seen thousands of them.
Yeah, and plenty more to go to too with Carter and
yeah, absolutely.
But no, we got you've done a lot of stuff, Chad, like from oval racing to cross country to the Sioux to like being the race promoter now of it recently. So a lot of stuff to get into. But to start it off, Kyle, you had a question about where it started.
Yeah, so like Brady would always tell us stories and stuff back in the day, like when you guys first got started in racing. So like my grandparents would run around with your mom and dad, and it was like Eagle River where you guys get started doing an oval stuff.
Dad actually started in '87 with an '87 Cougar when he went full-time racing. He dabbled with the LT Grays back in the day and local stuff around here, but 87 was his first full year, and I think that was the MRP, Motorsport Racing Plus year. Tim Berg was the original promoter of that. He eventually goes on to start Black Magic, of course. But, yeah, so that was mainly 1 mile ice Le Mans back in the day is what he did. And then he transitioned into ovals, USSA. And, yeah, as soon as I was a junior in high school. No, I'm sorry, junior high, 8th grade or whatever. I quit hockey and started wrenching for him. And, yeah. And at that time, he had 4 snowmobiles in all the stock classes. So I was a pretty busy mechanic as an 8th grader.
8th grade. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing any wrenching in 8th grade. Jesus Christ.
You learned a lot, that's for sure. You know, I can't count how many T-nut studs I pulled.
Cleated tracks?
No, we didn't do much for cleated. We did have some at the beginning, but it was all rubber tracks and hooker plates, welding hooker plates on. And, I mean, back then he would run 7 or 8 studs per bar on them old sleds.
Wow. That sounds like a lot. That's a lot.
It was nonstop sharpening. I mean, that was back before we had the sharpeners on the end of the drill, we had to take them all out T-nut style and put them in a T-nut backward and put them on the grinder and use a drill and a grinder to sharpen all the steel ones,
One by one.
One by one.
One by one.
And there's thousands of them. I mean, I still got calluses from pushing them in, because there's no break-off things. You kids got it easy these days for stuff. Yeah.
That's what my dad said. He'll never put another T-nut stud in again.
Oh, yeah. The thing about them, though, they never broke. So,
yeah.
I mean, but we'd Loctite every single one. And then when we first started, we didn't have air impact wrenches either. We had the speed wrench. Well, we had ratchets at first. Then we got a speed wrench that, go like this. That was the cat's ass. Then all of a sudden they came out with these butterfly impact wrenches. Zoom, zoom. And, man, we were living there. Yep. So Dad started then. And like I say, there was no kitty cat racing when I was around growing up and all that. And I couldn't even race till I was 16 years old. So, but Dad, he was, for a privateer, he ran with the big dogs pretty competitively. He was really good at hole shots and clutching and tuning that engine and all that stuff. So, yeah, it was fun times. We travel every weekend load up the old conversion van and head out. No heated trailer or nothing. And, yeah, go. He'd run stock F, D, C, B, and A with 4 different sleds, I think it is. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So, I mean, we were busy, you know, working by the double in the attached garage and double barrel wood stove, you know, and every weekend we'd load up and head on out and go see what we could do. So that's where it all started.
Yeah, definitely bare bones, just nothing fancy. Just
Oh no, there was no budget. I mean, there was no money back then.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, he was just. I mean, you know how much it costs to go racing, and he wasn't much to go out and get sponsors. He kind of did it all on his own and all that stuff too. So, yeah, it was. I mean, there's definitely no heated trailer.
yeah, yeah. You could just say that, and that kind of sums up everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it was fun. Learned a lot. I mean, you got to watch, you know, the Hools and the Dingers and the Appelsons, and I mean, Gaius Dinger and Sturgeon and the Walls. I mean, Deckers in all them oval days, and
That was when oval was almost at its peak too. Like it.
yeah, in the 70s, I'd say before my time, it was way up there. But in the late 80s, early 90s, like at Eagle River, I remember the backstretch used to be full of people. You could hardly find a place to stand over there. And
Yeah.
the front end backstretch were full of people, and I mean, and it was just a huge deal to make a final over there in all the classes. So, yeah, I mean, and you know, I mean, we raced in Anago. We spent more time in Wisconsin than we did in Minnesota, I think, back in the day. But yeah, UP of Michigan. I mean, I met Ironwood, Michigan one time, and they didn't have square bales there, and the snow was so deep. I bet you, and they took a snowblower and cut the outside of the racetrack in. And it was just a 12-foot wall of ice.
Oof, duh.
That was there. If you
Just
fell
a
off,
square edge.
just a square edge, because there's literally 12 feet of snow there, you know, and the track was narrow, and it was just dangerous as all heck. I was just waiting for stuff to happen, but somehow they made it through that weekend without anybody getting seriously hurt. But yeah,
No hay bales. No
hay bales,
no safety cushion, just a big wall of ice.
big wall of ice, and very little human protection you were wearing.
Yeah.
or nothing.
You're wearing leathers, basically.
Yeah. Back
God
when
damn.
men were men back then.
Different times. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So then, so when you got started racing, then what was your first sled?
Well, the first one was at Pine Lake. I had a 76 Z340, and ran that a few times that year. I guess I was probably 12 or 13 at the time. But then the first sanctioned races were USSA running a JAG Special. I think it was 91 JAG Special, and I ran it in 92. And rookie year, I won 12 out of 16. There were 16 features, and I won 12 out of 16. I didn't make it to 2 of them because I got hurt at Eagle River. But yep. And then they gave Rookie of the Year to a guy that beat me twice that year.
How does that work out?
A little bit of favoritism on the USSA part there. So
Yeah.
that's then it was a 4-place aluminum trailer they were giving away, and it was valued at $3,500 or $4,000 back then. And they gave it to that guy, and we were at the awards banquet, and everybody looked at me like, "What the hell is going on here?" You know. And so then Dad said, "To hell with this race circuit," and we went cross country racing after that. The rest is history.
Yeah.
So
That always sounds like the story that Brian told of where he missed out on winning that 4-wheeler
Yeah.
oh yeah.
because I can't remember what the heck the story was on that one.
Yeah, it was put on by Polaris or something.
yeah. Oh,
there's
Brian
also
was on an
rings.
Arctic
Yeah.
Cat. Yeah.
Yeah. There's favoritism in racing. You can't deny it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So then, did you like oval racing compared to like Lake Le Mans, or would you rather done one or the other?
Oh, I had a good feel for oval racing. I was one of the few guys that used my brakes out there, and I don't know why, but it just worked for me. Like I remember Brian Sturgeon asking me, "Why are you using your brakes?" I was like, "I don't know. If I came across a corner at Eagle River on a lake, I'd hit the brakes coming into it, you know, and turn that way. I mean, I wouldn't let off way before I think I need to, you know." And same at the Sioux. When I first got to the Sioux, I was one of the few that, well, against he would use his brakes. But I mean, that's where I passed most of the people coming in the Sioux was under braking.
Yeah.
So
Was it just like the riding style? Like everyone was just coasting around and not using brakes and just saving brakes? It's just what everyone did?
I just thought they weren't riding hard enough. So
Yeah.
I'd just come in and brake harder
Weird.
than them. Yeah. But I mean, that was back when they had a cable running from your handlebar down to the brakes, you know. So yeah, it was, and then you boil them or get them hot, I should say. And, So, but I mean, oval racing was fun if we'd have stuck with it. I mean, I feel I could have got up to Formula 3 level and pursued that on a race team. But then at that point, you know, snowmobile racing is cyclical, and the cycle was turning to cross country at that time. So, yeah. So then we made the right move, switching over and getting back into, or going cross country racing, I should say.
Yeah. So then going back cross country, then did your dad do any cross country? Or I didn't know, but when Brian said he was blind in one eye.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's blind in his right eye. Yeah, so he could only see out of his left eye, obviously, and or was it his left eye? I can't remember. But anyway, he could only see out of one of them, and then by that time he was like early 40s, and his vision wasn't very good. So I mean, you get in a pack of 30 and snow dust, and if you don't have a good vision, or the young and no brains type of deal to go and not let off that you need to do, he ran it for a little bit at the beginning of the first year we switched over. I think I was 17 years old at the time, and then he just realized that I had a shot at doing good in pro, and he wanted to concentrate on me and whatever. So that's kind of when he retired, is when
to start helping or start wrenching for you and Brian. And
Yep. Brian wasn't racing yet at the time. He was still playing hockey on his 6-person hockey team that damn near went to state.
Brian's told some good stories about that.
Yeah.
But you kind of got in the cross country scene right at like the pinnacle of it. I'd say 93, 94, 95. Really.
Yeah. I mean, I look back at them lineups and I'm like, my God, I was up against absolute legends right away. You know, and most of them are in the Hall of Fame right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have won the 500 and all the big races through the years. So, yeah, I mean, it was intimidating for a 17-year-old. I was thrown right to the wolves, right to the pro class.
yeah, because that was when it was kind of just the one class. Like it was just one class. It was the pro class. Because they didn't really have like a fan class, semi-pro class at that time.
I think they did have some amateur stuff or whatever, but yeah, I think my first race was 95 pro riders at Pine Lake. So
that's a stacked lineup.
Yeah. And I had to go to the LCQ, and I remember passing a guy from Alaska. I think his name was Scott Sluka, and I passed him with 2 corners to go to make the 3rd row at Pine Lake, and yeah.
Could you imagine if we had LCQs?
Yeah,
nowadays,
not just qualifying, like actual heats to.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine there being that many people.
Yeah, they only took 30 to the final, so they sent 65 people home.
Oh my God,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And I sent the Alaska guy packing.
Yeah, that poor son of a bitch.
He had a long drive back home.
Yeah.
For a 17-year-old kid to rub him out in the
Yeah,
corner. So.
thinking about them 2 last corners the whole way home.
Yeah. And then that first race at Pine Lake, back then they just throw the green flag and each row would take off individually, I think. And I started next to Steve Hoole, and I mean, Steve Hoole's in the 3rd row. I mean, that's how stacked the competition was. But and I remember out there in the race, back then you just had to keep your flags on your left side on the straightaways or whatever. And I looked over, and there's a spear house, about a quarter mile away, like whatever, And it took off, and everybody just started fanning out to the right just so we could see. And we just kept fanning out. And I was right behind Steve Hoole, and I was like, well, I'll just follow him. He's a veteran, knows what to do. And it was getting real snow dusty, and all of a sudden, fish house.
Holy
Shit, I just about smoked that thing, you know.
Damn.
And that was a quarter mile off the racetrack. That's how terrible the visibility was back then.
That's crazy.
And yeah, so that was my introduction to lake racing. And I think I ended up 14th or 15th that year, something like that, in my first ever pro race. And next thing you know, Black Magic's calling, putting stickers on my windshield.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing I wanted to ask on, because that was kind of how Brian started his off, was when you were with Black Magic, kind of when he got into it. So how did the Black Magic deal kind of come about?
That was the following year. Well, Tim Berg, the founder of Black Magic, is actually my dad's first cousin.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yep. So, yep. So the X side of the family,
Yeah.
grandma side. So they've known each other their whole life. Tim grew up in Gonvick, and then Tim came about and said, "Hey, I want to sponsor Chad, of course." And I think he was gonna give us $1,000 or $2,000, maybe $2,500, put the Black Magic thing on the windshield, and then he's also gonna give me Russ Ebert as a mechanic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I was like, wow. And Dad's like, you know what he used the wrench for? I was like, Dick Trickle. I was like, oh. Dick Trickle. Yeah. I mean, back in all the short track days when Dick Trickle won 1,200 dirt track or oval track races, asphalt and stuff. And then he went on to NASCAR. He's probably one of the winningest drivers in America ever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's kind of crazy. A lot of people don't know that in the snowmobile world. Dick Trickle used to race back in the 70s, you know, doing the oval stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, raced for Yamaha back in the day.
Yep. So then Russ was going to be my mechanic, and then something happened at the higher ups at Artie Cat, and some guy named Brian Sturgeon got him or something like that. Yeah. So then after that, you know, I had a pretty successful year, but I mean, we came from ovals, Dad and I, so we had no idea how to build a cross country sled. So we had no idea we had to double nut our ski bolts, because I had lost a ski one time. You know, they were steel skis back then. We had no idea you had to Loctite everything and all that. And then, I mean, like, we had no clue that we had to put more bungees on our hood to hold them down.
I still have that problem running the older shit, you know. If you're in a rough race, fucking hood flies wide open on them things, and of course nobody's ever around to see it.
Yeah, so I had a lot of breakdowns, and we had no idea we had to drill our high facts out. We just ran wheels, and you know, it was just a big learning curve. And then Dad would burn a lot of engines down too, because we'd had to hold them wide open for a lot longer. And but we got pretty good at changing pistons. So yeah, but it was just back in the old days, and whenever Dad was around, all we did was clutch and carburation and timing and all that stuff. It was just nonstop testing. We'd test 3 or 4 days a week on a four-legged lake or Pine Lake, and he was always tuning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it never ends. It never stops.
No, for sure.
Today's sleds, there's really only so much you can do in the stock class, but I suppose back then there was like all that shit factors in, even to factory class there, so you could tune them a lot more than you can these sleds today.
Yeah, like when I first got to cross country racing, how people tested back then was we'd line up 20 wide, and somebody throw a snowball up in the air, and then all 20 of us would take off and just fly across Pine Lake, and then we'd turn around and line up again and do it again, and all be scatter back to their trailers and come back and line up and do it again. And that would go on till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
No shit. Really?
Oh, yeah.
My God.
Yeah, I mean, I wrapped up Pine Lake on Friday night, whatever, at 8 o'clock, checked the light plants and stuff, and looked around, and everybody's pretty much gone. I was like, man, people don't do shit for testing. Even if I was racing today, I'd still be out there testing. But you guys say that there's not much you can do. So.
Well, that was Kyle saying that. I didn't say that.
Well, you don't see me fucking standing on my 2-place trailer with a laptop and a fucking headset on. And
that's where a lot of it is in the laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you guys. I've not experienced with them laptops and them GPSs that you guys have.
Neither.
Yeah.
Or that they have these days. But I'm still old school. I want a side-by-side comparison test because, I mean, I'm in the farming industry now, and I know how inaccurate GPSs can get when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know. And if the satellites are off just a little bit, I got to reset all kinds of shit on there. So, I mean, I'm still thinking side-by-side is way more accurate. I mean, I look at them fancy maps and all these trailers and stuff, and they say it works, but I'd rather just have 2 sleds.
Yeah. Yep.
2 sleds and a speed gun, radar gun.
Yeah.
Check the actual speed.
Yeah.
That's how all of us are.
Yeah. I mean, look, you do it that way.
Yeah.
You're winning.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. It's never ending, actually.
Yeah.
Right. You're never quite ready.
No.
Yep. I mean, there's so many factors, you know, body weight. Each rider's different weight.
Yeah, a lot of luck factors into.
Yeah.
That's inevitable. Yeah. So, yeah, then we got into that. And then Brian, he turned, I think, 15 or whatever, and decided to forego hockey and started racing. So.
So then like it was a year or 2 years in or so when Brian like really, really moved up where he was really good. How was that as you as like the older brother and now your younger brother is starting to be like one of
the fast one?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't faster than me right away per se.
Yeah.
But I mean, we grew up riding together, so I knew he could ride. I mean, we had a 84 LT grade 6000 that we just, and a 78 Jag and all them old leaf springs, you know, we rode the hell out of them. I gotta tell you a story about that Jag one time. We were jumping across the road from our house, you know, we got some big hills over there, and we'd hit it about 60 mile an hour, but we'd fly about 70, 80 feet, but it was just a nice landing, you know, perfect landing.
Yeah.
We did it so much that we iced it up, and we had cleated track with no studs in it, and I was standing on the bottom of or up on the road there, and he was jumping it, and he slid sideways down the hill, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I watched the sled just go. and then the running board came down and just squished his little open face helmet, just smashed his head, and like, oh, Mom's gonna kill me. You know, and that was a bad one there. It reminded me of the time he got a concussion in the 500. That is similar accidents, but
Yeah, he talked about that on show.
Yeah.
That's gnarly.
Yeah. But I mean, so I knew he could ride, and he motocrossed. You know, we didn't really motocross back then, but I just knew he could ride. And like semi-pro was very competitive back then. And so, I mean, he was obviously really good at that. And then at Canterbury, it really showed how he could ride there in the semi-pro class. And then I think for some reason, I remember him at Detroit Lakes, and they didn't plow the track on the lake, and we had all this slush out there, and it kind of railroad graded, we call it. You couldn't. It's just 2 skis and a track, and you can't get out of it. And he came in just pissed off after his first ever pro heat, and I go, "What's wrong?" "Oh, that blankety blank Davidson's slower than hell, and he wouldn't let me buy." I was like, "All right, yeah, we got something here, Dad."
Oh, funny.
He had said that at Pine Lake too when he passed him for his first Pine Lake win in the back. He came up right behind him in the railroad tracks and climbed up on his rear bumper there a little bit. So.
Yeah, his bumper bumper was up on his tailbone or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But so then fast forwarding ahead a little bit, Brian had told a story where you crashed into him at Pine Lake. You took him out.
He was trying to pass me, I think. And I just held my line, and then, or maybe I did dump him. I don't know. Both our dads raced. We're both trying to win it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first year switching to Polaris, and we had a fast as hell snowmobile, but we concentrated too much on the speed and not on the handling.
Mm-hmm.
We should have concentrated on the handling, because that thing was just, it was way too, ride heights were all screwed up. Had way too high in the back end, and too much track on the ground, and I just wasn't handling worth a damn.
So what year would that have been?
I believe that was a 99, 2000 season.
So the race probably would have happened in 98, and then they were a 99 Edge chassis.
Yep, that's the first year they came out with them.
Yeah.
That piece of junk.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't you break all kinds of spindles and shit on?
Robbie Dolan was my teammate at the time, and we had a full ride with Polaris, and financially it was a good move.
So to rewind, how did that come about from switching from RD Cat to Polaris?
Oh, I was dating an engineer's daughter at Polaris. So.
And just
That's all it took.
Well, they came with a pretty lucrative deal. I mean, it was basically a free ride, and then had another sponsor who's currently still sponsoring Pine Lake. He stepped up with a lot of cash and all that stuff too. So financially, it was a wise move on that end to do it. But I mean, they just came off of the Red Rockets,
yeah.
and they were telling me that they had a even better snowmobile coming, and it turned out to be the Edge.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, we cracked or broke, Robbie and I, 22 trailing arms that year.
That year.
That
1 year.
That
Holy
1
shit.
year, yeah. But they were fast as hell. I mean, on a 440, I was radared at 109.5 during the race.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Holy shit.
yeah.
For 440, that's moving.
Yeah, you don't hear speeds like that anymore.
No. I've never heard one person talk any good about an Edge.
Yeah.
No. I mean, they'd soak up the bumps okay, but it was just miserable. You know, you just wait for that ski to go like that, you know. And it's just, and then they finally came out with updates, and then they weighed about 5 pounds more than they should have, and so you had all that dead weight out there again. But then the next year they came out, what was the next one? The Edge X or whatever?
Pro X.
Pro X, yeah. So that chassis was great, but the engine was junk. Or I shouldn't say the engine, the upper rod bearings were. And so you just be flying along and you just wait for it to go down. I will say that's the only time I've known to have a sled that was cheating. At the end of the year, they finally put Skidoo upper rod bearings in it just so we could finish a race.
Just so you could finish a race? That's how
Yeah.
bad it was?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
We'd never finish.
Oh my God.
We'd never finish. So, and I didn't even know they did it. They told me it at the end of the season. So, yeah. But I figured it out that 1 year. It was either the 1 or 2 years. From the positions I was running in from where I broke down, if I'd have stayed and maintained them spots, it would have been about $75,000 in winnings I lost out on. So, it sucked.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Polaris Edge.
Yeah.
What's that?
The Polaris Edge. Just
Yeah.
catch the fever.
Go from the Red Rocket to the Edge.
Yeah.
So like with ice racing, like in the late 90s, early 2000s there, did you like ice racing, ice Le Mans more or ditch racing? Like what were your thoughts back then on those two?
I was a wild man in the ditch. I enjoyed both. I didn't enjoy not being able to see in the ditch, the flat lights.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just singing along and you woodpecker into the handlebars. And I didn't, because you couldn't see the road approaches coming.
No, that's my worst. That's why I don't like it the most, is I don't like being able to see.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that. I mean, register for the race. If you can't see on race day, just pull the pin, save the money.
There's a lot of paperwork that goes into it where it's not like just going like at old school Nadawash or something, just registering that morning.
I know I run the race circuit.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. But I mean, it's $350 to enter. And if you don't do it, you probably save $3,000 in damage, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that option to look at too.
Yeah, or even more, you're throwing away your whole season. You know, you break
Risk of
something.
injury.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
But,
collarbone, shoulder, you know, knee.
man, I remember this one. I'm probably off subject, but
No, that's
Just
no,
keep it
that's
going.
Totally,
Yeah,
totally
that's
fine.
what that's what we do.
We didn't make a plan for this one.
No.
good. There was a cross country race in Red Lake Falls one time, and Brian will even tell you about this, how bad it was. And it was literally 2 hours of seeing nothing but the tops of the power lines. It was just a ground blizzard, and every once in a while you come across orange flags. And that's probably the worst one I've ever been in, is that Red Lake Falls one. And Troy Taggart went out there and put a whooping on everybody. I mean, a whooping. And I don't know how the hell he could even see where he was going, but he smoked us by 20 or 30 minutes. And he wasn't road running because, I mean, it was all tar.
Yeah.
But it was just one of them races where we couldn't see a thing. We're still, to this day, talking about it. Even that David Stenland from Ontario could ride like that in that junk.
Unreal. That's where I've asked Herf about that before, like in the blinding snow
Yeah.
dust. It's like, how are you doing it? It's like just closing your eyes and holding it wide open.
Yeah. Like that. There's many 500s where I was like that too. But, I mean, that's the way you have to go now.
Yeah. Yep.
I've rode more miles blind than I have
Yeah.
being able to see, you know. It's pretty intense some days.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like at the Sioux, you could say too, because that was like back then they didn't put all that stuff down on the ice to where the snow dust was really bad.
Right. Yep.
What was your first year at the Sioux then?
First year at the Sioux was when I was racing for Polaris. I believe it was the second year I raced for Polaris. And Bert Bassett, I became friends with him at Pro 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a funny story. He said, hey, why don't you go run that Sioux 500? And I was like, oh, I've never been there. Oh, well, a guy out there, Shane Wall, he needs a driver. I was like, okay, I don't know him. But so I show up Friday before the races and had my girlfriend with me at the time. And I had to ask where his trailer was and all that. And I walk into the trailer and he had a triple, 600 Polaris in there. And he had the top end off, and he's changing pistons and all that stuff, and he's wrenching on it. And I walk in, and I said, hello, and he looks up. Hello. I said, I'm Chad. Oh. Looks at how short I was, Okay. And then he goes, and I go, you got a little work to do here, huh? Yeah, a little bit. And I go, you need any help? No, I got her. Okay, what do you want me to do? Nothing. Go back to the room, relax. It was 1 o'clock, I never even sat on the sled or nothing. And so like, okay. Walked out of the trailer and told my girlfriend at the time, I was like, well, I don't know. Here we go. And I don't think there was a driver's meeting Friday night or nothing at the Sioux before that.
Oh, sure.
Back then. And then I just show up at the race trailer the next day and I go, I hear you guys use radios out here. Yeah, but they're not working this year. I was like, okay. So I just and then they're like, oh, they're getting ready to plow. And for the first plow break, so I put my helmet on and Shane, he comes roaring in there and he's running top 10. And they're like, get ready. You're probably going to get on the sled. And they're changing skis. And I go to reach for his tether and he waves me off and whatever. And I walk back into the trailer, and his sister walks up, and she goes, wow, Shane must be in really good shape this year. I was like, oh, yeah, well, that's good, because so his chassis, when he builds them, like standard spindle angles are like this.
Yeah.
Well, he's old Formula 3 style, so he's got them way out there like that.
Yeah.
So they are all
Digging.
you can do to turn them things, and like, okay. And so then a while later, and probably 80 laps later or whatever, another yellow comes out and he comes in and is changing skis, and then I get on the sled. And back then there's no electronic scoring or whatever, and they had this little cylinder or that thing they spin around up there with your numbers on there.
Yep. Yeah, they still got that.
Shows what position you're in, and I look up and we were in 9th place, and I got on the sled and I just jumped on and got the feel of it. I'm like, oh, this is all right. And I'm like, these guys are pretty slow out here, I start clicking people off, and yellow comes out, and look up, and I'm running 6th. Okay. And I'm doing the same thing, and then I started to get comfortable with the sled, and I was able to ride it harder and harder. And I look up, and I'm running third, and green flag flies again, and I'm take off, and then I was just passing people, and all of a sudden the yellow comes out, and I'm like, well, I got to catch up to the pace sled, and I'm burning laps around there, and all of a sudden they're yelling at me to slow down. All of a sudden the pace sled pulls in front of me, and I'm like, shit, I'm the leader. So I'd never been to the Sioux, never been on the sled, and the first time I get on one, I go out and lead it.
Yeah.
And no communications too. No like pit boards or nothing at the trailer?
No, I had a clear tank, so I knew I had enough gas.
Sure.
So I was like, well, whatever.
Just go until I need gas.
Yeah, just stayed out of the dirt, and then I get close to needing. I think I went till the next plow break or whatever, and they waved me in, and I came, and then he went out and ran a shift, and I think we were still top 3 or 4. And then I got back on, and also coming out of turn 4, excuse me, and I was like, what the hell? So then I had to really match the track speed to how fast I was going, and turned out that he had a set of Yamaha drivers in there, and he's running a 1/2-inch lug track at the time, but the pitch was wrong, and we stripped out all the inside lugs out of the inside of the track. So,
Shit.
yep.
So it was Shane's team, and then Shane was also the driver too. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was Shane's sled and trailer, but Bert Bassett, he worked for Pro 5 at the time. Shane did. So, yep. I mean, that guy's an absolute magician when it comes to fabricating and whatnot. So, yeah. I mean, if you need a set of pipes built, he was the guy to go to back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of them pipes, like, I still can't hear out of my right ear after riding for him because his were so damn loud. Like, people came up to me after the race because I'd pull up beside them. And they go, yeah, your pipes are so loud. I just back off and let you go. They're so and I wore earplugs the whole time too, but oh my God, I'm still ringing in this ear 20 years later.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, earplugs didn't matter. They were just too damn loud.
No.
God.
No. Yeah. I mean, they were just barking out there. I mean, we're making power and going fast, but I paid the price for years. So, and then later that year, Bert called me up and said, hey, you want to go around one of them half miles out there in Michigan? I was like, yeah, I suppose. I got a weekend off from cross country here and go out there. And it's on the way out there, my truck breaks down. I call my brother up, Brian. He's racing out there too. He's racing out there for Prunick, Mike Prunick, and Prune Dog. Anyway, and he picks me up. Or no, Mike's girlfriend at the time, Gent's girlfriend picks me up, brings me there, and Brian brings a trailer out. But anyway, I get on the sled, and Bert sent me out there with a triple from Pro 5 to go around that. And it was at Christmas, Michigan. It was a half-mile track, or maybe a quarter. Anyway, JT Edwards was the mechanic, and Mike Gentz and Randy and Colbus and all them. But anyway, go try and qualify one, Chad. I'm like, okay. And I getting back to braking on ovals. I coming down the back, we pitted on above the back stretch there, and there's a pit entrance coming into 3. And I held it open till the pit entrance and pitched it sideways, and all that. And they came back in, and like, in all the years we've raced here, nobody's held it that deep into the corner before. And you did that on your first lap. I was like, oh, okay. How was the lap? Oh, we're sitting 5th. Like, yeah, could have done better, But that was the year that Brian ran that triple from TS Racing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And they had the carbon fiber disc and the carbon fiber pads.
Mm-hmm.
And his throttle stuck. Did he tell you about that?
No.
Oh, his throttle stuck for many laps out there.
No.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Corey Davison was leading, and Brian was right on Corey's ass, but he couldn't control the sled enough to get by him.
Yeah.
And he finally came in, and it was just down pit road while he's holding the brake. And then they finally reached down and got the throttles unstuck. But
Jesus.
brakes still worked.
Yeah.
And they were just cherry.
Yeah. Yeah.
and they still had a lot of pad left.
Yeah.
You know, you watch these snowcross guys with all these cherries, red discs and stuff, and why don't they just run carbon fiber? The hotter they get, the better they work. You know,
I don't think it's legal anymore.
why?
Something in the rules. I think in the ISR rule book it says something about running carbon fiber.
But instead of a carbon fiber one, they got a huge fucking truck rotor on them now. With 2 calipers.
Yep.
So,
So I bet it was a cost saving thing for the carbon fiber, but no, they went and spent triple the money on it.
Yeah.
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 You know, set of pads would last all year on a snowcross circuit. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
I'd like to try some carbon fiber pads.
Yeah.
Like hearing you and Brian talk about them at the Sioux, like just the hotter they got, the better they worked.
Yep. We needed them on the big 4-strokes. Them 4 cylinders out there. Was that the Apex?
Yeah.
Was that the first one?
Yep.
That thing was wicked.
Yeah.
I bet that. Yeah, the Apex is my favorite sled to ride. That thing was awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't stopped hearing about them since I've been on this show.
Mainly because of me, but a lot of other people.
Yeah. Yeah, that was another thing too. So I went to rode for Gentz out there, and he had a 440 twin, and Bert sent that triple out, and we should have ran the twin in that little quarter-mile track.
Oh.
It would have been better because it turned into 4-foot holes all the way around it and whatever. But excuse me, beer kicking in. But anyway, the next year, cross country was shut down, and Gentz calls me up. Hey, you want to run the Sioux? Like, I don't know. I kind of run it with Shane. And he goes, well, they allowed that Yamaha Apex now. And I'm like, oh yeah? I go, what's that?
What's that? Don't even know what sled he's talking about.
You sound like me when they're talking about it.
and he goes, well, it's got like 185 horsepower. And I'm like, well, what's the triple Polaris have? He goes, about 40 less. And I was like, oh, all right. And like, yeah, sure, I'll try her out, you know. And show up there with my girlfriend at the time, and they had that sled absolutely in shambles Friday night. I mean, it didn't even look like a snowmobile. Because if you take a 4-cylinder down to just the engine, and no A-arms on it, there was no skid frame or track in it. Jeez. This is at 7:00 Friday night. Right?
Oh my God!
And I told my girlfriend when I left, I was like, well, they're definitely not going to have that sled ready by 9 a.m. And show up there, and the damn thing's sitting on the starting grid. I was like, all right, good deal. And Mike Gentz, you know, he won it in 2002 with Bunky or whatever. And I think this must have been 04, 03 or 04.
That was right around the area.
Yeah. And same thing. I never rode the sled before in my life, and got out on the racetrack, and they pitted a couple times to tighten the track, whatever, at the first pit stop. And Mike went 4 laps down for some reason because he said his steering was all screwed up. And I think he was just tired, but kidding, Mike. Anyway, I started 28th, and the green flag flew, and I hit the gas, and that thing go, oh, and it just ripped my arms off. And I was like, and then somebody crashed coming into one, and they threw the yellow, and I slowed down and got on the radio, and I said, holy shit, this thing's a horse. And they go, what? What's wrong with it now? I said, nothing. Sit back and watch this shit.
Because that was the coolest thing about the Apex. It would just pull your shoulders out of its sockets.
Yeah. So we were 4 laps down when I got on the snowmobile, and in 80 some laps, I made up all 4 laps under green.
Under green?
Under green.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I was passing 3 or 4 straightaway. I was weaving through the crowd.
Just faster than everybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could get that thing, I mean, back then we had a dial adjust front arm shock, so I could tune it, handle it how I wanted in the corners. And I got that thing just sliding just perfect. I could point and shoot and just let it eat. And then when I did that, I'd pass everybody on straightaways. And then they had the carbon fiber brakes on it too, so I could just use the shit out of them. You know, that was fun. Yeah. But then I damn near died. So.
Was that when you crashed and broke both legs?
Yep.
Okay, that I had that written down. So what was the story on that?
It's getting to the end of the race, I think we were one lap down. I went up and made the lap up on lap, 380 or 390. And then I was like, well, if I go lap everybody again, I can relax the last 50,
Yeah.
or 75 laps. And so I was like, yeah, I'll just put every lap down again. And I was doing that. I was coming down the front stretch, and I saw John Bozek running the high line up by the bridge, and I was like, ooh, that looks like a smooth line. I made a last-second decision to go up there.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did, I hit that bump, and I went sideways in the air, and I was going to save it, but as soon as I pitched it sideways, the back of my sled hit the hay bales and took the sled out from underneath me. And then I hit the bales with my body, and the sled everything went everywhere. And then as soon as I came off crashing into the bales, I slid down the racetrack, my body did. And then I was trying to get out of the way of everybody. And another sled came along and hit me in my left leg, and then I helicoptered and all that stuff. And I still don't know who hit me. And
Really?
No,
I'll be damn.
It was a red and white sled is all I know. And then I got up, walked to my snowmobile, put the tether in. Damn thing started, handlebars just smashed right down, and stuff. And then drove to the pits and just pissed off. And I think it's done. And they're like, well, we can probably fix it. I'm like, no, it's done. Back then they had a heated trailer and a non-heated trailer. The non-heated trailers for wrenching on the sled, and the heated one was all our food and dry out our clothes and stuff. And so I went up to the heated trailer and sat down, and they came in and checked on me like, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, but I just couldn't catch my breath, and then 45 minutes later, I still couldn't catch my breath. And then finally they checked my pulse, and they're like, you're going now. I was like, nah, I ain't stopping. We're not yellow flagging this race just so I can get in a goddamn expensive meat wagon, and I'm just pissed off. And like, no, you got to go. And then they checked my pulse, and it was just racing. And like, no, you need to go now. And I get to the emergency room, and they're like, holy shit, your heart's doing 220 a minute. And I was like, what the hell? I'm like, well, now what? And then there's about 8 to 10 nurses and doctors around me, and my mom is standing there, and they go, well, we have to stop your heart. I'm like, what do you mean you got to stop my heart? And they're like, well, we got to stop it because you're doing 220 a minute. And the only way to do it is to stop it so it'll come back down. And they're like, okay, well, what if it don't start again? I'm like, well, we're ready if it don't. And there's
Defibrillator.
They had the paddles there. They're all lubed up, ready to shock me and stuff. And I'm like, all right. And my mom's crying. And looked at my mom, told her I loved her, and I was like, well, let's do this. And they had an IV in me, and they gave me a shot in the IV, and they're all watching the monitors, and I'm watching the monitors, and just still couldn't catch my breath, and nothing happened. And they're all just shocked, and they're like, what now? Oh, this never happened before. We got to do it again.
Holy shit.
So then they gave me another shot, and then my heart did stop, and then I came back down, and then my blood was, of course, racing through my body, and all of a sudden it wasn't, and I went into hypothermic shock then, and they were putting blankets and warm blankets and heaters on me, and I was just shaking like, I just came out of a frozen lake, and it was 20 below out, and then so I came down from that, and then they're doing blood work and stuff, and then they're like, your CPK count is 14,000. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And like, well, normal is like 60 to 80 for us standing around here, and high is 120, and you're at, whatever the hell it was, and 14,000, and like, yeah, so we need to pump a bunch of IVs through you to get this out of your system, because you're real close to having a stroke or a heart attack or something like that. And,
Jeez.
yeah, and then they're pounding me. They're like, "Do you do drugs?" I was like, no, I drink beer and eat McDonald's. That was my training back then.
Yeah, a lot of people's training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and they're like, "Yep. Oh, you have to do drugs. Fucking drug test me. I don't care. I still haven't done drugs in my life. I still haven't had a cigarette in my life." And they're just pounding me about it. I'm like, no. And then they ran through every damn test they had in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and then they did. MRIs, and they'd inject me with stuff. And they're like, well, if you soil your pants, we understand it happens all the time, and all this stuff.
What are you giving me here, Doc?
Yeah. Some dye they sent through you, and it just warmed you up, and it was weird as hell. and then they were like, well, so they gave me a IV, and they're pounding the IVs through me. And so I had to pee all the time. And so I was walking to the bathroom. I had a nurse on one arm and then the IV stand on the other. And it was painful as hell to walk. And they're like, we still don't know what's wrong with you or whatever. And then they're like, you're obviously in a lot of pain. I'm like, yeah, well, you're going to have to be going to the bathroom about every 15, 20 minutes here. And they're like, well, I can make it. They're like, no, we got to put a catheter in you. I'm like, God damn it. So then they put a catheter in me. And then
Just making it worse.
Oh, yeah. This race is so dumb. and then, so sitting there with the catheter in me, and the wreck happened Saturday night. And then, that was a 25 grand to win wreck there too. And then Sunday night rolls around and nothing. And then Monday they're like, we don't know what to do. We ran out of tests. We don't know what's wrong with your heart and whatever. And they're like, yep. And then Monday night they did an MRI and they checked my upper body for anything wrong. And here they found out I was bleeding internally in my lungs.
Oh, jeez.
And then they call my mother up and like, yeah, we got to fly him to Marquette, Michigan. And she's like, you guys don't know what the hell you're doing in Michigan here. We're getting out of here. Get me a flight to Fargo. Or,
Yeah.
So mom pays for a flight on the tarmac there, and off on an airplane we go to Fargo, and flight nurse goes, flight went good, slight discomfort in his right leg, and the doctor goes, did they x-ray you out there, Chad? I was like, no. 5 a.m. the next morning, 3 people walk into my room, and like, you have a very high pain tolerance, sir. I go, what do you mean? Well, you have 2 broken legs. It's like, I told him that in Michigan. And then they go, well, now we figured out why your heart took off. I go, why is that? Well, when you hit the hay bales and your right leg got ripped off from underneath you, your muscles pulled the top of your thigh bone off and sent a bunch of enzymes through your body and sent your heart racing. Like, oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
And your body was probably in extreme shock from everything else and just...
Yeah. Yep. So they gave me a choice of a body cast or take it easy. I said, I'll take it easy. But yep. And then, so then the next year after that, Brian had quit racing by then.
Okay.
Can I ask how they stop the internal bleeding on your lungs or by your lungs? Did they do anything for that, or did that just heal?
That's a good question. I don't know what the hell they did about that. They didn't.
Oh, they just take it easy, it'll heal itself kind of deal?
I
It wasn't.
know. As soon as they figured out what was wrong with my heart, they must have forgot about that, I guess. But yeah. I never had thought about that till now, to be honest.
Yeah?
With you. Yeah.
Weird. Huh.
Yep. So then the next year, Gensi wanted to race again. I was like, well, I'm done. He goes, well, you know of anybody else? I'm like, oh, my brother's pretty good. And so he called Brian up. And so then Brian went out there and was running that 4-stroke. And we had some shit happen in the pits or something. And I was out there in the pits and wrenching for him. And he was gaining on Chad Dyrdahl from Alaska. He's gaining like 100 yards a lap on him. And it was at like lap 280 or whatever. And like, oh, yeah, he'll get the lead here shortly. And all of a sudden it started snowing and the yellow came out and red flag came out. And he was 100 yards behind Dyrdahl at the time. And the race never restarted. Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So another bridesmaid finish for Gensi out there. Yeah. So then after that, Brian stayed out there with Mike Gentz, and that's when they got.
Oh, and they bought the Skidoo rental sleds.
Yeah.
No, they didn't buy them. They rented.
Or,
Yeah, they rent them.
Yeah, rented them. But Brian did going back and buying it after he went on it.
So they rented two Skidoos, went out. Brian won the 500, the cross country out here on a rental.
On a rental.
And since he won it, he had to buy it. So, just now that sled's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So
That's unreal.
and that's a story of how Brian Dyrdahl got back into cross country racing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So if I wouldn't have crashed and damn near died out there, he'd have probably never got back into cross country racing, and he'd have probably only had one I-500 win. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, he that was pretty funny hearing him tell stories about that rental sled.
Yep.
Because that he had reverse on it, so he said he was backing up in the staging area in pits, just beeping around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
So
That is, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
That if he wouldn't have got back on that skidoo, then all the skidoo stuff wouldn't have happened.
Right.
yeah.
That's weird how it worked out.
Or if USSA would have gave me Rookie of the Year, we'd have probably never been cross country racing. You know, we'd have probably been ovals the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. True.
Huh.
it's crazy where life takes you. It's a wild ride.
So going through that injury, were you like, screw this, or did you, being that close to winning, were you like, I got to get back out there?
I was done for about 4 years after that, went pipelining and all that, and then I just got the itch again.
Yeah.
And went out there and tried it a few more times, and like we got second 3 or 4 times again after that. And then that 1 year I was racing for against Brian Bouchard, and it was the beginning of the race, and that's when that was another time I about ended it out there. I was coming out of turn 2 and couldn't see shit. I was up on one ski and hooked a rut and started going ass over tea kettle, and everybody's just flying by me wide open because they couldn't see me at all. And all of a sudden, air, woof, and then I finally stopped rolling around and looked back and make sure no sleds were going to hit me again, and here another one was piled up about 100 feet away, and guys laying there, and while I was tumbling like this, my skis were where my right finger is here, and my body was where my left finger was. I was in, and the guy came along and smoked my front end of my snowmobile, ripped the A-arms off and everything, and he hit so hard, he didn't know he was going to hit me or hit my snowmobile. He wasn't ready for the impact, and he went over his bars, and his sled just stopped and totally flipped him over and slammed him into the ice, and just destroyed his shoulder. It was Jim Erickson. And I think Isaac Wolfgang was right in there too, but he was on the inside. I think he saw it, but I mean, it was just a total yard sale, and I could have been the meat in that sandwich very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now, I mean, that chemical they put on there now at the beginning of the race is definitely saving lives out there.
Yeah, for sure.
They're losing ice when they do it. It's basically salt or whatever. I don't know what the chemical is, but they're losing ice, but they're saving humans. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. To where like I didn't really understand it when people were talking about the snow dust was so bad until you see some old pictures of it where it's just a white haze over the track, and now it's not a haze, but it builds up on your goggles, but it's easy enough to just wipe away.
Right.
So I'd rather have that any day than white haze the whole race.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. It's definitely, they've learned a lot, and whoever came up with that, kudos to them.
Yeah.
It's an absolute saver out there.
Yeah, and just watching the Sioux, there's no snow dust when you're watching.
Yeah.
There doesn't look like any.
Right. Well, it's been the right temperatures lately too.
True. Also, been warm.
Yep. I mean, there's been some cold ones out there. I mean, shoot, my mother just about died out there watching one time. I was getting the pits in the trailer, getting ready, and just put my helmet on, getting ready to go, and a yellow came out, and like, yep, yellow, get ready. So I was, and she came in just crying and covered in snow, and she's like, she didn't make it. Like, what? Who didn't? Here, snowmobile came off the backstretch, and flew through the air and killed a woman 10 feet away from my mother.
Jeez, damn.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep.
geez, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So, and she was only 21, I believe. So it was just tragic there.
Just how the hell did that happen? Well,
Yeah.
it must have looked different than
They
what
only
it
had
is now.
They only had 4-foot snowbanks back then.
Yeah.
And everybody'd stand right on their backstretch.
Yeah.
Like I got mom was videoing, and there's videos of my little sister standing there playing in the snow, and sleds are going by 110. You know,
Yeah.
5 feet away. You know, so,
Yeah, kind of that fence they have down at the bottom there. They would stand right up along that fence.
there was no fence; it was just a snowbank.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's how that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now that's why they currently have the 15-foot pile of snow there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So for the safety reasons, of course.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah, I mean it's a dangerous place. I get nervous for everybody that races it, but it seems to have gotten safer. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's still sketchy.
Yeah. No matter what they do, you're still a wild race.
When people talk to me about it and they've never been out there and watched it, they're like, "Oh, it doesn't look like you're going that fast." Like, because on the TV broadcast, it doesn't do it justice.
No.
right.
This is just like a NASCAR race. You know?
Yeah.
I said like, well, when we're going up to that scoring building right there on the front stretch, that's like at least 105, 106, 107.
Yeah.
And then going into 3 and 4 in the back, you're 110.
Mm.
It's like it doesn't look like it on the TV.
In and out of the corners, they don't see the fucking moguls either.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
And you guys are going slower than we were years ago too. We were much faster straightaway speeds. Back
Yeah.
then.
well, look at Austin Leak was fighting for the fastest time there this year on a he's got a
On his old mod.
on a 96 XCR
Right.
600.
Yep.
And he's fighting for the fastest time out there.
That's basically what I used to ride with Wall,
Mhm.
05 and them. Yep. So, yep.
Yeah, later on, after like besides the Sioux, I remember you riding that sled at like Nadawash and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I called Shane up and I was bored. I wasn't even racing pro at the time, but yeah, he pulled it out of his old trailer up there, and I just came down and fired it up and went racing.
I remember that. I was probably 9-10 years old or something.
Yeah.
Chad's fucking ripped around. I was like, that thing is sweet.
Yeah, and then I think that must have been 09 or whatever. No,
Yeah. I wonder. I think I have a picture of it, but
yeah.
I'll scroll here.
Anyway, I didn't know which race was the big money race to win that weekend.
Yeah.
And Brian is going for a points championship in USSA or whatever. And we're battling back and forth. I was either first or he was second, or second first or whatever. And there's a few corners where I could rough him up here and get by him, but I was like, well, if I do that, I'm probably gonna have to help fix it. And then if I get him hurt, if I hurt him, then he's out of the points championship. So yeah.
Yeah, better safe than sorry when it comes to your brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'd have to scroll through a couple thousand pictures.
Yeah, I'd love to
find
see a
it.
picture of it because memories.
I'll have to find it later. But yeah, I think my dad was in that race too. I think he might have got maybe third behind you and Brian.
okay.
I think so.
on Firecat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Huh.
Hot in here.
Yes.
Yeah, a little stuffy.
Over that window.
Shy.
Right? Yeah.
Hopefully no dogs bark.
Oh,
No, it just shouldn't pick him up too bad.
Nowadays, being the race director, do you ever get the itch?
yeah. Yep. I'm a big modified snowmobile guy. I just love watching them, and I used to love riding them, and like pro mod on Saturdays at Pine Lake.
Yeah.
It's like, it makes you want to get out there again. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, that was the question I had for you towards the end. But so if you could take any of one of your older sleds that you'd ever raced to show up with at Pine Lake for a pro open, what sled would you want to show up with?
Jesus, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, Pine Lake's totally different than the Sioux, but I mean, an Apex out there would have been, if you could get it to handle.
Yeah.
I mean, just to see what you could, if the track was smooth and I could see, that Apex would be pretty damn fun to.
Not the 98
out
440.
That thing was fast as hell. I mean, my race team concentrated too much on the speed and not enough on the handling. So, I mean, if I could have worked on the handling, we'd had a shot to win that thing. So, but the 96 or 97 ZR 440, 96, Brian and I had them flying. And we had something, that was back when Dad was still alive. I think it was the 96 ZR. Like their power band was 8,600 or something. And we stumbled upon where 9,100 was absolutely flying.
Over rev them.
Yeah, but they still had power. And the only person who noticed it that year was an old boy from Clearwater here named Robert Johnson.
He said those things are screaming.
Yeah, we were at Detroit Lakes, and Brian came by in his heat, and I was standing beside Dad because I already ran, and Robert was standing there, and Robert watched everybody go by, and he turned and looked at Dad. He goes, "What the hell are you doing to them things anyway?" And like Kirk and File and all them, they're still at that 8,600 RPM, and yeah, we were 9,100. And
You're giving our secrets out, Chad.
Yeah.
oh,
So everybody listening, just over-rev the piss out of them.
Yep.
yeah,
It works.
works.
It works.
The
I guess.
faster you spin, the faster you go.
yeah.
It did work. We won 10 grand on ours.
Were you up that high?
Yeah.
Were you really? Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't
because
know
we
that.
talked to you about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Polarises are different.
Maybe
Polaris.
not that high. I think we were like 8,200 actually.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. That's what a Polaris runs.
Yeah, we kept that one a secret from everybody. So, yeah.
Until now.
Until now.
Well,
Now
it's been-
everybody next year will be
25 years later,
Yeah.
I think we can let the secret out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still got to make them handle. They can make them fast,
Yeah.
but
Well,
you still got to make them handle.
Yeah, I mean, you can make any sled handle if you have a dial adjust front arm shock. And these people out here sit there and screw around with these limiter straps and drilling holes. And if somebody, I've told you boys this in the bar before, if somebody would just make a dial adjust front arm shock for these ice races that would work and consistently work, and somebody knew how to rebuild them,
Yeah.
your ice racers' lives would be so much easier. And you could set that sled up.
Call Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know a guy.
Yeah, but there's not enough market in it for them to do it. I mean, but if they brought back the Ironman 250,
Yeah.
hell, every factory would have one, because you let the front arm out in the ditch, you get down to that river, you got 50 miles of river running, you crank that thing up so you can handle in the corners, and yeah, I think we need to start petition here to get the Ironman 250 back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a badass snowmobile race.
Yeah.
You know, I know you kids are probably too young to remember it, but it was X amount of ditch miles, and it was just one lap. You know, we take off Thief River, go down Red Lake Falls and Plummer and up to the River Road and over towards Goodridge there to, I don't know if we went to High Landing or no, not High Landing, but Neptune there on the Casino Road, or over to Gully Road and rode back. It was 125 miles each day, and then on the river in front, they'd have an oval race, and whoever won that had no time added to their overall time. And then if you got second, you had another 10 seconds or whatever, and it was just, man, it was a fun race.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
That's the way Brian kind of talked about it. Was like it was second to the I-500.
Yep.
That it was another race that everybody wanted to do really good at.
Yep, absolutely. But that's where the dial adjust front arm shock was invented, or mainly brought in to the sport, was for that, because Arctic Cat needed better handling on the river, so they did that. So then you could, on all them river bends, you could really corner a lot better.
Yeah.
Yep. But for ice racing or at the Sioux, you start losing your carbide there, you can suck that front arm up and go.
Yeah. Well, I've asked a few people on why they don't run that. It was because it's kind of temperamental a little bit.
That's because they don't know how to rebuild them.
No, like we have that one on our 440, and I wish I had that on every sled. So we'll have one on the ZRT too.
Yep.
Yeah, if only you could put one of those on your 4-stroke. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
If only.
It can be done. It's just a matter of finding the right specs to make it work.
Yeah, find the loophole in the ISR rules.
No, shocks are open rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, getting back to shocks, and my dad, he was the first one to ever use Fox shocks on a snowmobile.
Really?
Yep.
How do you think of
I
that?
kind of heard the story like Bob Fox,
He's to race with them, to race with Fox shocks. He came home with them from Thief River one day, and they want me to try these out. I was like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. I got to go get a needle. And I'm like, what's a needle? We went to Bemidji Welder Supply and bought a needle and a nitrogen tank, and he took it apart and he put some spacers in there. We didn't know what the hell they were, and lowered them down to lower his front ski shocks down. And I remember it plain as day. We were in 2-stall attached garage and barely insulated and working next to a double barrel wood stove. And he goes, well, I need you to run the valve on the nitrogen tank. And I was like fucking 5th, 6th grade or whatever. and he goes, when it gets to 200, yell at me and then shut that off right away. Okay. And we had the vise at the time right next to the double barrel wood stove, and there's no real way to hold the shock in there because they didn't have the clamps, you know, like they make right now and stuff. And then Dad's like, you think nitrogen's flammable? I was like, I don't know. There's no Google back then.
Oh, yeah. So, you don't know.
We don't know.
You ever seen the Hindenburg, Dad?
Yeah. That was hydrogen, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Close.
Yeah.
Would have been good.
Yeah.
So then we unbolted the vise and moved it 20 feet away to another bench.
Just in case.
Yep. And then he was pretty nervous too, because back then it was just a mono shock. There's no cylinder, exterior cylinder or whatever. And then that piston was, or where you put the needle into, was way down in there because we couldn't get it out all the way and up to the snap ring. And so he's in there and he's pushing on it. He goes, okay, turn the gas on all of a sudden. And then it built up pressure and pops out. And we're like, I was like, it's only at 75. He's like, okay. And then it builds up to 200. And I go, 200. And he pulls it out and breaks the needle. And I shut the gas off. He's like, well, did it work? Well, I don't know.
Hey, you don't know right then.
We don't know.
Yeah.
So, and then get it out and had air in it. So we had to redo it. It took forever to get the air out because nobody taught us how to get air out of a shock, you know.
Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah. Then later on that year, Dad was bullshitting with Mike Carver up in Beaujeu in our hotel room. They were both racing up there in the ovals, and then Mike Carver started asking him about gas shocks and stuff, and Dad told him what he knew, and then Mike Carver started Carver Performance, and he's built about 1 million shocks since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the day without YouTube and Google.
Yeah.
Of just figuring shit out.
Letting her buck.
Yep.
Yeah. Quite the deal. I was the first one to ever race with Team Industries clutch.
Oh, really?
The
Yep.
The
Sandcast?
Sandcast.
Yeah. They were big, heavy bastards. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's about retired now, so I can tell the story. But so the first year I rode for Polaris, I wanted to put hooker plates in, and so I took the heat exchangers out of the tunnel, and I was going to weld them together so I could run the hooker plates where the heat exchangers were. So I knew a guy named Pugsley from Bagley, Brent Melbo at Team Industries.
I know Brent.
Yeah, and I knew he's a hell of a welder, aluminum welder. So brought them in there, and I had him. I was gonna have him weld them together, and he was welding away, and I was not looking at the arc, and stuff. I'm looking around, and I see this weird looking spring, and on a bench, and I was like, he gets done, and I go, Bugsy, what the hell is this? Oh shit. You weren't supposed to see that, Chad. I was like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, never mind. I like Pugsley. I'll talk to my higher ups, he said. And then a little while later, I get a call from Team in Bagley, and they're like, yeah, it was Shane Okeson, I think. And Shane goes, yeah, we got this new secondary clutch and stuff. I think this is how the story went. But anyway, I had an engineer at already, or Polaris racing, and he came up to Pine Lake and he bolted that Team secondary on, and we had our clutching set up on the stock sled just perfect. And it was all we could do. It was ready to go, as far as clutching would go. It was a few days before Pine Lake, and we bolted that Team Industries clutch on there, and it was 4 to 5 lengths faster immediately. And that was when Polaris had a really good clutch on the secondary clutch.
Yeah.
The button, yep. Yeah. And
Still.
Yeah.
Still great.
Yeah. Well, Ryan Haugen was the engineer at the time, and he was not happy. But like, well, I got to run this in Pro Open at Pine Lake, and I think something happened in stock class, and then I ran it in Open, and I was pissed off because I broke down in stock class, and I was running Open, and Johnny Green was leading it, and I was gonna go up and pass him, and I blew a corner and piled her up. But that sled was ripping, and I was like, "Oh, Team Industries on to something here." So
I'll have to ask Brandt about that.
yeah, he'll remember. He might have to deny it for a little bit. But that's what got Team Industries into racing too, because they were supposedly going to give me $75,000 to go cross country racing. Start a race team. That was the rumor anyway. And then that was going to be my third year at Polaris, and then November 15th, Mr. Tom Rager Sr. calls me up and says, "Hey, Polaris pulled the pin on the cross country program," and all that. So there I sat without a ride. And then Team Industries must have knew that was happening, because they started sponsoring their own snowcross team.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Levi LaValle was first team rider.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
So that would have been 03, you said?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
So, okay, so yeah, that would have been like thinking back of Pine Lake. That was the year that they went to 500s. That was the year that Brady got second behind Justin Winter.
Yep.
So we had talked to Brian, asked Brian on where he was.
I think it was the year before that, actually. But
okay.
Yeah, that would have been 02.
Yep.
The first, 02, 03.
Yeah.
First year of the fire.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because 01, 02, they came out with the ZR440 Snow Pro.
Yep.
That was the Firecat chassis. But then in 03, they came out, or 02, 03, they came out with the F5, and that's when they were racing them at Pine Lake.
Yeah.
And that's when Brady did good, but Brady was on a fucking 440 fan.
No, he had an F5.
Yeah, he
Was
had
it an F5?
F5 in the Pro 500 class.
I forget which class he was, but he was racing some 500 class, but he was on a 440 fan, and he did really good.
Oh, yeah. Brady can ride.
No.
When we get Brady in here, it's just going to be you and him.
Yeah,
bickering back and forth.
I was thinking about that when we got Chad in here, and then we were talking about getting Brady in here. So we're saving the slowest for last.
Oh no, there's a reason why Zach Herfindahl called Brady Dyrdahl up a few years ago to come run the Sioux.
Yeah, in 2016.
That kid can ride, and he's meticulous, and he's just as good as me and Brian on the ice. You know, he can ride. That's for damn sure.
I'll tell Brady you said that tomorrow at work.
You're fueling the fire.
Good. Fuel that fire.
We'll just have a hell of an argument when Brady comes up.
So that's how team got into racing. I mean, they were planning on getting into it, but I kind of jump started the whole thing, I think. So
Neat.
And they never built the snowmobile clutch prior to that. So, and that's Shane Oakes, and he's a smart feller. So,
yeah, I hear he was a whiz with a Gen 2 back in the day.
Yep.
Shane Oakson was.
Yep.
So then, Chad, you kind of, in between your years off there from the Sioux and then going back to the Sioux, you got hooked up with Dean Larson.
Oh, yeah.
And you started racing the Expert 85 class, the Snow Pro 500.
Yeah, Dean, I got hooked up with Dean farming, doing sugar beets and stuff.
Oh, okay. Is that how that worked out?
Yeah. Got to be friends with him through that. And then he was, of course, his daughter Sarah was an excellent women's racer. And then he called me up and said, "Hey, Chad," I think he had Arnie Rantanen racing for him, and said, "We're having a hell of a time beating this guy in the Expert 85 class. You want to come race?" And I was like, "Well, who are you having a hard time beating?" He told me his name. I was like, "Well, if I've never heard of him, I'm sure I can beat him." You know?
Yeah, can't be that fast.
So I went out there and won a few races for him and stuff. That's another funny thing is I hadn't rode in the ditch for many years, and I went up. I think we went up to Oslo, and I hadn't done any testing or nothing, and jumped on that a little. What were they back then? What were them?
Snow Pro 500.
No,
with Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a Snow Pro chassis.
4,000 something.
Oh, like a
yeah, ZR 4000.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 85 horsepower. or
Yep.
something like that.
Yeah.
Perfect for an old guy, you know. And jump on that, and I came up to these 4 or 5 foot holes way too hot. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna hurt. And I just braced for it, and that thing soaked it up like no other. And I was like, ooh, these sleds have really improved.
Yeah.
and then got done with the first day there, and I remember Cole Leon, he was in that class too, and like, dude, I was catching so much air, it's just sick, you know, and all that. And I was like, really? I said, I didn't get more than 4 or 5 feet off the ground, and I didn't. You know, I drove around all the holes and stuff, and he goes, oh shit, you're gonna be really slow. And I had a 20-second lead on him. You know? At the end of the day, you know, how the hell you not catch air and go that fast? It's like, I followed Kirk Hibbert for years. He drove around the holes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to hit everything.
No.
You and Cole did the Pro Open at Pine Lake one year.
Yeah, that's right.
Where they had 2 riders.
Yep.
For the Pro Open.
Oh yeah, that was the Noble Triple Crown kind of race you guys did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Back in the day.
Yeah, that was another race I wasn't prepared for because I was doing the promoting.
That was whose sled was that? 'Cause
That was Brian Bouchard's.
okay. It was a Bouchard 99 sled. But it was Polaris.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we put a 1/2-inch lug track in it and all that stuff. And like I went out testing, and the first pull, I went away from the crowd and came back, or away from where we were testing and came back, and Dean Larson was there with his radar gun. He comes wheeling up. You're good to go, Chad. I go, what do you mean? He goes, 124. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew I was up in the over 120 because I can always tell because my jacket gets pushed up to my shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
over 120, you know. So. Yeah. So I still got to apologize to Faust every time I see him because, well, beginning of the race, we left staging and I kind of gave it a little gas. My goggles fell off my behind my windshield, and the guy behind me ran over him. And so I pulled the sled up the line. I ran back through staging, jumped on somebody's snowmobile. I stole a snowmobile, drove back to my race trailer, and couldn't find another set of goggles. Went through Jim Sobek's trailer. Sorry, Jim. Couldn't find any in there. And then I went through whatever, and like, screw it, I just got to wear the other ones. And I got up there, and Shu had the sled, and they were yelling. I could hear him on everybody's race trailer radio, or they're, Chad Dyrdahl, get to the line, whatever, and all that. And then started the race, and I just wasn't into it mentally, and I forgot that the corner was only going to turn right real quick instead of, I thought it was another quarter mile up. And I was in a little bit of snow dust, and I came in way too hot, and I smoked Travis Faust or something. And took out his heat exchanger or his tunnel enclosure. And then I rolled, and I took off, just flipped the sled back over and got back on, and I was dead ass last. And within 3 laps, I was up to third, I think, or something like that. And then lap 4, I pitted. And then Cole got on. I think we ended up 4th or something. So.
Yeah, there's that picture of Faust kind of getting hit, and then your sled's like halfway up in the air.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool picture, but.
Yep. Oh, he was a top contender to win it, too.
Yeah,
so,
I think he was #1 qualifier for that day.
It's somewhere in them, but the modded IQRs were fast as hell them years, and Corey Davidson had one that was like 119 during the race, and he was moving like the whole race.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9th lap, something happened and it took him out.
I think he blew a track.
Was that what it was? Blew a track?
Yeah, I know at Pine Lake 1 year in Pro Open, I think he blew a track.
Yeah, It was on like one of the last laps, and it was like he had a minute and some lead over everybody, just hauling ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, makes you wonder what happened to all these fast sleds.
Oh, all the old mod sleds?
Yeah, like the IQR chassis and stuff like that. Yeah. What happened to them?
Yeah. Well, you're looking to buy one or what?
Yeah.
Have you made a body count on how many snowmobiles you have right now?
Oh, so that's a funny thing. I was just up at my parents' place or whatever, and I was looking around. I was like, there's a lot of sweet shit in here.
But you still haven't counted them.
I try not to. It's quite a bit, you know.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. There's 3 of mine in, 3.5, including the 97.
3.5 sheds.
No, 3.5 up there. Oh, then there's there's probably 5 of mine up there right now, but then the rest are my old man's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there's probably 20 up there right now. And then my brother's house probably got 40 of them over there. So,
We'll have to do a walk around video.
yeah, we
Yeah.
got to vlog it sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's getting nice out, so it would be
Yeah.
perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
But it's got to be it's got to be filmed at Colin's house, my
Yeah.
dad's house, and then my house. So there's a lot of shit everywhere.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Well, yeah, that Pine Lake race when you crashed, just another one of those things. If your goggles never got ran over, what would the race?
My head would have been in the game, and I've been concentrating on the racetrack.
Yeah.
And that sled it had a bad set of carburetors on it off the dyno, and I think Rugland built the engine, but it would just load up out of the corner, blah, 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 and then it'd finally go again. So I was battling that a lot too. But and I designed the damn track, and for some reason I thought that corner was a lot farther away, and it was the old shit brakes, And if it would have been during the middle of the race, I'd have been fine because everybody had been spread out. But there's just no way for me to blow the corner because everybody knows the tail.
Yeah.
And I just kind of split it between 2 of them, and took the least. thought I was going to avoid them all, but didn't. So.
Yep. So that was kind of. Have you raced since then, Chad, or was that? Or no, you did the 440 race this past. Last year.
Yeah, I don't know when my last race. I bet that was probably it. The last one I was on my own. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. I could still run the Sioux if I wanted to put the word out there. I could get on a race team, I'm sure. But
Should we put that out there?
No.
Chad Dyrdahl is looking for a team.
Chad's good. I like sitting in my rocking chair, drinking beer, and watching the race.
Yep.
Most years I'm in the fish house fishing and watching the race.
Yeah. You did go out there and you're pit road reporter for a year or 2.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool as hell.
A lot of people said that they really liked you doing that.
Oh yeah,
So
you were the best at it.
Well, Isaac and John do a really good job at it right now. So it'd be cool to get you out there again. That'd be a pretty good three-man pit lane team.
Yeah, Matt Preer's too big on his high horse out there. I'll never get back on that team, but his nose is pretty high in the air, and that's fine. It's fun to do, but it's that guy, he don't know shit about snowmobile racing. He still hasn't even rode a snowmobile. I don't think.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool that Spanky and Wick got a call the finish of the closest finish ever. Poor Matt's down in the front stretch, not being able to make the call, but whatever. I kind of got the boot on that because Matt posted that Corey was an 8-time winner out there, and I said, no, he's not. He's 7, and whatever. and I said, no. I said, if I could have broke down and got on the team that was leading the race, every time I broke down or crashed out, I'd won 12 of them. I said,
Yep.
Corey was out of the race,
Yep.
and you guys give him credit for making up did you ever hear about this?
Yeah.
I haven't, no.
So it was who were the two? It was Josh Davis and Gabe Bunke were on a race team together, and Corey broke down out of the race, and Mike Stasic was the team owner and told Josh Davis, it was the first time Josh had ever met Mike Stasic, and told Josh Davis to tell the I-500 people that he had cramps and couldn't race anymore. So it was a medical condition. So then Josh had to go lie and say he had cramps, and then he put Corey Davidson on the sled. And, Corey's obviously one of the best in the world, and I can't blame Mike Stasic for doing that. But Josh Davis, he didn't know at the time, was more than capable of winning that race on his own. And then back then it was there's this forum back then on the Snowgoer page, and they were saying on there that Josh had cramps and congratulations to Corey for winning and all that. And I was like, I just talked to Josh. And he said, what, you get cramps? I said, you know, like you to get cramps? He goes, oh, no, I was just fine. I was like, what do you mean you're just fine? Oh, no, they just told me to make that up so they can get Corey on the sled. I was like, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. And then they make Josh look bad, a good buddy of mine from Bakke, Minnesota here, making him look bad like he got tired and cramped up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I called them out on that, and then they were posting that Corey was an 8-time winner. Well, in my mind, Corey's a 7-time winner. Sorry, Corey, but I've told you that before, you know? And so then I just posted on their Facebook page that they had that, you know, Stasic and his race team pulled a fast one on him. And then 3 days later, they posted that Isaac Wolfgang and John Wick are new pit road reporters. Like whatever per year.
But yeah, that's Josh's number plate.
Oh, yeah, 317.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, number
Yeah.
bib. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another guy. Fast as hell from Bagley, Minnesota.
Yep.
And smart as
Super smart.
super
Yeah.
smart.
Wicked
Smartest guy
smart.
I know.
Homeschooled too.
Yeah, just crazy.
No college education. Just
Yeah.
very intelligent man. And
Yeah.
hell of a rider and never worked out. Never once worked out a day in his life.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
You know,
Unreal.
always had fast sleds too.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Dad was gonna buy, I think, one of Josh's, like when they went to the Dragon chassis.
Yeah.
Dad was gonna buy one of those. I can't remember what year it was. 08, 09 or something.
Yeah.
And Josh let Dad borrow it for like a day or something. Just see how you like it. And Dad said it would only go 96 miles an hour in the ditch.
Yeah.
He's like, it's slow, but that just goes to show you on how fast Josh was to make this slow sled fast.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people didn't know Brian and Josh were good friends and roommates.
Yeah.
Josh lived at Brian's house for quite a few years, you know. And, yeah. There's a story about Josh. I can tell. I don't know if the statute of limitations is up on it yet or not about motorcycles. So,
Oh yeah, I heard this story.
I don't know if we can
I didn't
say
know
it.
that it was Josh, but
Oh,
yeah.
They thought it was Brian.
Yeah.
It was Josh. Yeah. But anyway, so then, I got the boot from that. But, I mean, it was fun to do. But, I mean, it's still, 10, 11-hour drive. And you go out there and you volunteer all week. And, 10, 11-hour drive back home. So, I mean, could I go out there and do it, and have fun at it? Yeah. But, I mean, still, I could stay home and work and make a little cash. And Flow Sports just does an awesome job of covering it.
Yeah, they've done a lot better job in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Of making it just easy watchable.
But I will say, people, if you've never been there, you got to go. I mean, it's
Just to
something.
hear it.
Brody's first time being there this winter.
Yep.
Oh yeah, totally.
Mine too.
Oh yeah, yours too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just hearing it, in person is insane.
Everything about it, the sounds, the visuals, the speed, the moguls,
Yeah.
it just total perspective change
And
on the
even
whole
after
race.
even after 500 laps, I didn't get sick of hearing it.
True. Yeah, me either.
Yeah, the crowd too. Yeah. Oh, getting back to that dial. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but
No, it's
Don't
fine.
ramble on.
that
That's
dial
what this
adjust, the dial adjust front arm shock. I was leading it on a Yamaha one year for Ghent, and it was about 80 laps to go. And back then they didn't have scheduled plow breaks and all that. And
They just did them whenever, or what?
yeah, you never knew when they were going to plow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They just throw a yellow and
Yeah.
say we're plowing?
Yeah, a lot of times it depended on who was leading, I think, too.
Yeah.
But,
I could see that.
yeah, or who needed a yellow. There's a lot of stories about that at the Sioux. But anyway, yellow comes out, and there's 80 to go, and, of course, I had plenty of fuel. And I was on the radio. I was like, Gens, we pitting or what? Hang on. And I was coming down the front stretch, came around the front stretch. We pitting or what? And he's like, I don't know yet. And then I get about 100 feet past the pit entrance. Pit. I'm like, fuck, can't pit now, Well, just stay out. We'll pit on the next one. Okay. And then by that time, I do my best to avoid the dirt out there. And, when I first started riding out there for Gens, their crew chief was like, holy shit, you come in with carbides. Gens never comes in with carbides, And well, I avoid the dirt at all costs.
Yeah.
I mean, I was yelling at the TV at Dylan Stevens at Eagle River this year. I mean, dude, get out of the dirt. But anyway, anyway, and I was avoiding the dirt, but there's just sometimes you just can't avoid it out there. And so I started sucking my front arm up, and then all of a sudden I think, here it goes, and my rear shock boiled. And so I was riding on nothing but springs, and it was just them rollers all the way down the straightaway. And I was going down the straightaway just tank slapping like this. And it was all I could do to hang on to the thing. And then when it started tank slapping, you know, I had to slow down just to hold on. And then I was coming down the front stretch, and it was dark out. And all of a sudden I see cameras flashing. Like, what the hell? And then next lap comes around, more cameras are flashing. Next lap, more cameras are flashing. I'm like, fuck, here he comes. And sure as shit, look over, and there's Jeff Leuenberger going by me, and I was like, God damn it, I couldn't turn, you know, and I had a boiled shock and just tank slapping, and I just put it in survival mode after that and hoping for a yellow. We went 80 laps without a yellow at the end of the race, you know, and that's when Artie Cat got their first win.
Oh, okay.
All because we were 100 feet from making the pit road call.
Yeah.
Another second place for Gens Racing.
Just on one of them things.
Yeah, 2010.
Was that it?
Yep.
Yep.
Artie Cat's first win at the Sioux was 2010.
No, I don't know about that. But it was...
I think it was. I don't think they'd won it before that.
Yeah, I guess not. But I know it was Cataratt's for win there on that 2010 Snow Pro chassis.
They won it in 2010. Yeah.
Yep.
Cataract won it with Russ Chartrand in 2001, I believe.
Yeah. I think it was 01, 09, 10, and 19.
Okay. Yep.
And then close the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, close. Yeah, right there.
I got one of them, dude. That's third, huh?
I got 2 of those.
Yeah, 2/3.
I got that second place one in my office and get pissed off every time I look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't throw that one at a road sign?
Nah, you don't throw the suit. Don't throw them high ones on the. Those are just motocross trophies them idiots threw back. Those guys, I watched, you know, they'd always drive. Well, Brian still drives junk vehicles. he was in Lake Erie this weekend at a national walleye tour, and he took an old Honda SUV out there, you know, that little green Honda. He drove that all the way to Ohio this past weekend.
How long has Brady had his Civic?
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah.
He drove that out to the Sioux when he races.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That thing.
Well,
It's rough.
Brian told my stepdad, "You have it breaks down, I'll just buy something different."
Yeah.
Just leave it on the highway, he said. But yeah, there was 8-foot rollers out there in that tournament, I guess, and people were losing their kicker motors off their engines, but off their boats. But speaking of Upper Michigan, Josh Davis, we were racing a half miler out there, and it was just shitty conditions getting out there. You know, them lake effect snow, you can't see nothing.
Yeah.
And I called Josh up and like, Josh, you better get a room in Marquette or whatever. It's pretty bad out here. And he's like, it'll be fine. You know, okay. I see him the next morning at the racetrack. I said, how'd it go? He goes, I thought it was going pretty good. And then I hit a mailbox with my driver's side mirror.
The driver's side
He's
mirror.
on the opposite side
on
of
a
the road.
two-lane highway, yeah. So,
Oh, Jesus.
yep.
Oh, my God.
Them Upers, man, they don't plow. They just salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't even put plows on their dump trucks, you know. It's just salt. Good way to wreck a vehicle out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad in my few years of going out there, I haven't been caught in a good snowstorm yet.
Oh,
So,
you will.
yeah.
That's what Dad kept saying when we went out there for the first time. It's like, this is weird. And he's like, it never looks like this. You could see all the mailboxes and all the road signs. And he's like, normally it's 8 feet of snow.
Yep.
And yeah.
Speaking of Sioux Gunner, should we tell them about your first time there?
Yeah, it didn't go very good.
That's right.
No, it put me on there, out there like lap 300, lap 360.
With Ree and the Yamaha team?
No, with Chad and Jason MacArthur.
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't go good.
Yeah.
No, you got on earlier than that, didn't you?
No, it wasn't. It was like you did the first plow break, then Jason did the second one,
Okay.
and then I did like the 30 or 40 laps there, and it was like, okay, get off of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just turned 18 at the time too, so I really hadn't developed my skills. I was okay, like semi-pro guy here at Pine Lake, but I hadn't really developed skills yet to go out there.
Yeah. Well, I watched you ride at Pine Lake, and that kid's got it. You know, get him out to Sioux because we needed a third, and then I think I got off the sled or whatever, and they're like, people walked into the trailer and they're like, "How's he doing?"
He's riding it.
Yeah.
I'd say the sled wasn't the best handling sled neither, because it was. Remember pushing the tunnel down, and that skid frame would stay all the way down.
All the rear shock was screwed up or what?
I don't know. It was in the trailer, and I remember my dad was looking at it, and then kind of looked at you and was like, "Well, what's it doing?"
Is it supposed to do that?
Yeah.
But no, I was definitely more confident going out there like in 2016 with Renae on that Yamaha, just because I'd been out there once already.
Sure.
And
Yeah. Oh, you were thrown to the wolves. But,
yeah. So now I'm happy with how I've progressed.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
With that first year.
Yeah.
You finished. Did you finish the first year? Yeah.
No. We had a crank seal wind. Isn't that, I think the seal behind the primary clutch.
What brand were we riding?
Polaris.
Oh.
It was a white sled.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
I want to say, seal behind the primary clutch went out.
Is that with Gency or Bouchard?
That was the year it was Gens Bouchard.
Okay. Yeah.
2014.
I know one year on a Yamaha I think we were leading the damn thing too, and the front clutch separated and the inside shiv came off and went right into the engine and took out the on the Yamaha 4-stroke, whatever all them components are there. I think it's a water pump and shit like that.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. So then Brady was leading it and he had a seat fall off one year. They're like, I was home, but on the radio, they're, that's pretty smart. He dumped the seat off right in the middle of the straightaway, so they have to throw a yellow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he planned that.
No, but
That's too bad that you and Brian and Brady never did get on a team, all three of you together.
yeah,
That would have been pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I don't know if they'd have built the sled tough enough for all three of them. Yeah, I mean, if we'd had all the experience we had at the end and all three got on one, it would have been a force to be reckoned with. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember that one year on that Yamaha, I ran 350 or 400 laps, and we never got past once that day. Not a single sled passed us. That's how fast that thing was.
That was why they made it illegal.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
Did you imagine if that was still
Yeah.
able to be out there?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Oh yeah,
That's what
that'd
I'm
be
saying.
cool as
You
hell.
got to build one for classics class.
What?
I don't think it's legal.
I'm kind of glad they outlawed them though, because the way that seat design was, and where you ride at the Sioux when it gets rough, you kind of in the corner, you kind of hang off to the side a little bit. There's absolutely no cushion there, and it's metal on bone on butt cheek, and you just get pounded. And like I'd get done, go to the hotel room, and I'd be pissing and shitting blood 3 or 4 years in a row. 3 or 4 years in a row, I'd be
Really?
pissing and shitting blood.
Oh my God.
Yep. And of course, go to the awards banquet and drink all night.
Yeah.
Worry about it later.
Yeah, that's for future me to deal with.
Yeah.
It'd clear up by Wednesday or so. But yeah. Then that one year we got second, and the guys were like on the Gens race team there. Well, we're gonna go to the liquor store and stuff. And my mom and I had a room on the 5th floor at the casino, facing towards the parking lot entrance. And she was on the phone. She's like, "Oh my God, Chad! Look, they lost all their beer out the back." And and people were driving in and driving over with a beer can. They're spraying everywhere and stuff. And then they get out of their truck down below, and I look, and that's JT. That's our beer. He lost like 6 cases. He forgot to shut the tailgate.
Oh, no.
The realization, that's our beer.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Call him up. Son of a bitch, really? Did I do that? Now the Sioux was a fun week, but I mean, they should really shorten it up a day because you really don't get time to test out there. You go burn a few laps in, and
Yep.
I could give a shit less where I qualified out there. You know, many times I started last, and you're passing the leader by lap 40. You know,
Yeah.
it's no big deal.
For me, the 2 laps of practice, I don't get nothing out of it. I need to get a feel for the sled, and 2 laps, it just, that's not how my brain works. Like, at least on my Lake Lemon sled,
Yeah.
I got to just do laps after laps.
Yeah.
Give me 10, 20 laps. Then I'll feel pretty damn comfortable to put
right.
a qualifying lap down.
The guy who had it figured out, though, was Corey Davis, and towards the end of his career, he'd show up at noon on Thursday, put a couple laps in, and load up, you know.
Yeah. And now this year we did practice on Tuesday night
Yeah, practice
So-
was Tuesday night.
to go do 2 laps on Tuesday night.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, these race teams, you know, they got whatever, it's 200 and some bucks a night for each hotel room.
Yeah.
I mean, man, they could save thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. We don't need 3 days of qualifying.
No.
No.
Yeah, I
mean,
couldn't imagine being out
especially
there
when-
for.
Especially when everybody makes the field.
Yeah.
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 I remember JT Edwards saying that back in the day when they were trying to make the field and a cold front moved in, they changed jets. They were they're in line to get out on the racetrack, and they changed jets 3 times in line
Jeez.
just to go qualify
God.
because a cold front moved in and
Just everything changed.
They were in line that long, yeah. And their engines were so on the edge,
Yeah.
you know, that they changed jets 3 times. So yeah, there's lots of stuff. I better hide these beers, Mom. Be like, you getting too drunk there?
We've had piles of them on here before. That's fine. Just say they're
kidding.
from the last show.
Yeah, it just never cleaned up.
Yeah. Wesley.
God dang it, he's got to slow down.
Yeah.
Chad, I don't know if you heard us talk on here before, but we brought up 24 hours of Pine Lake.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So, being the race promoter and stuff like that, what's it going to take to make this shit happen?
Well, we need a lot of light plants.
That's what we were thinking.
We were
like,
thinking, you know, wouldn't have to have so many chicanes and stuff like towards the finish, but if we just set a light plan in every corner,
Yep.
then you're fucking pinpoint your destination.
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's.
we thought 24 hours or 12 hours, like start at like 8 a.m. and go till 8 p.m.
Yep.
or 500 miles,
Huh.
50 laps.
God.
Could you imagine 24 hours though? How fucking sweet that would be.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool.
Start at noon and end at noon,
Yeah.
Wow.
or start at 6 a.m. and at 6 a.m. That way you have more visibility or something.
Yeah.
You're gonna have equal visibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
You'd have to do it so late in the year where there's 4 feet of ice too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
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 That'd be the other issue.
Oh yeah, we did talk about that. Like you chew through the corners.
Yeah.
What would they do? Like
Well-
plow brakes, but like moving corner
You'd
brakes.
almost have to have like 4 different race courses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like do like a set caution at like 10 laps or something. Well, if you do 24 hours, that'd be a lot of laps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then just keep moving the corners in and in and in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think we could do it.
I think it's possible, Chad. We're gonna
I
be.
got an idea. You know that island on Four-Legged Lake? south
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Vineyard?
Yeah.
So it's 1 mile around that.
Yeah.
And then if you just sat along the highway there and said, okay, boys, whoever makes the most laps around that island wins in 24 hours,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
That'd be cool.
water skip all you want.
Yeah.
Because the island's fully wooded.
Yeah.
But whatever. Mike Gentz was in a race at Eagle River. It's 24 hours of Eagle River.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. You brought that up when
Yeah.
we talked about it.
I think they did it 2 years.
Okay.
They only did it 2 years. And it's like,
How did they have enough ice to do it back then?
Right.
They weren't racing on the oval. They'd race the oval track was used, but they'd go off and into the parking lot, and it was just a full on all out snowcross snert track.
Well, in the video I watched, it was the oval, and they were talking about how many laps they did.
And somebody said there was a 24-hour race at the Sioux track one time, but it went around the Sioux, and then it cut in the middle and did like a snowcross type of deal, and then went around again.
I think there was a 12-hour at the Sioux.
Was that what it was?
Yep.
Here, I'll play the sound, and Chad, you can.
Endurance. Check out the Lake of the Torches 24 Hours of Eagle River at Eagle River. 24 hours, 873 laps, and 1,222 miles later, the unbeatable team of Mike Campbell and Greg Goodwin left the competition in their snow dust, leading more than 1,000 miles and taking first in what could be the most grueling race ever ridden. Unless it
So that one picture there, they were jumping, but then the other picture, they were on a lower down champ sled. So that's odd.
Yeah, I think they just took footage from Eagle River or something like that for that. But it was definitely huge holes.
Yeah.
And they were off the track at Eagle River. Yep.
I wonder for something like that to come back, or like the Super Enduro at Canterbury to come back. Those would
that's the Ironman and Canterbury need to come back. If I was a promoter,
yeah.
if I was a race circuit promoter, I would bring them back. I would bring Detroit Lakes back. And I'd probably hit up the Iron Range because that's huge. I'd get a race up there at the casino up there, up in Tower, wherever it is. But I'm old school. But that Canterbury one for sure needs to come back. And you could coordinate that with the snowcross weekend.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just have the whole front stretch just monstrous singles.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
That's all it would need to start out as.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're going to just develop from there.
Yeah.
Flatland, every single one.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And, yeah, I mean, and we had zero suspension back then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to use the whole I go back to what the original was. I'm just saying you could coordinate it with the ISOC snowcross weekend.
Yeah.
And use the whole front stretch as part of their snowcross track.
Yep.
You know, and then
We'll use your guys' snow for the front stretch, and then we're going to lay a whole bunch of ice around the back stretch here.
in the corners.
Yep.
Yep. It was just hay bales and zigzagged around 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a long straight back stretch. And it was the most miserable race I've ever been in.
Let's do it again then.
Yeah. I'll watch it. You know? Yeah, it was that. It's a funny story. My dad took his watch off, and it was actually a Timex off his wrist, and he strapped it or taped it to the handlebars. And I with Tony hiking and coming down the backstretch, and we both went into the turn 3 at the same time, and he sent me an ass over tea kettle and ripped my hood, went flying, so I had no hood left, but handlebars were junk and all that. And then at the end of the race, because Dad wanted me to know when 2 hours and 2 laps was when it got close to 2 hours, so I could. But you're bouncing around so much you couldn't read that little Timex.
Yeah.
Shit.
Trying to read the little needle and everything.
Yep.
Come on.
And then, so, but you ever heard the commercial, takes a licking and keeps on ticking? That Timex rolled down the backstretch of Canterbury and kept on ticking.
Yeah. Tough ass watch.
Yeah. Well, that was just a brutal race with no suspension. But I remember at the end of it, I was running with Jesse Strike there for 15, 20 laps. And I go, good run, Jesse. Yeah, that was freaking fun, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a good time and whatever. I was like, how's your sled? He goes, it's hamburger. I go, what do you mean? And he pushed on the rear bumper and it flexed where it attached to the bulkhead about 2 or 3 inches. All the rivets were gone where the tunnel attached to the bulkhead.
Just demolished.
Yeah, it's like the track is holding it together.
Jeez.
You know, it was just destroyed.
And Tony Heikkinen's sled wasn't in any better shape neither.
No,
that
that
Skidoo
thing.
was garbage
Yep.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember my dad talking to Brad Pake's dad, and I think Brad caught up to hiking in there. And in the video, he passed him for a little bit, and Brad's dad told my dad, he goes, yep, like took a shot at a jackrabbit, and hiking was gone again. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's one race to bring back.
Yeah.
If you want to move
Canterbury-
it up, this
Oh, okay.
loosens, and you can loosen it and move it around.
Canterbury and the Ironman 250.
Yep. Brian Esposito is the big guy up there, but that 250 and whatnot. But yeah,
You got to get them kind of
righty
tight.
tighty, lefty loosey, or what?
Well, just you got to tighten the hell out of them. The mics are a little heavy for them.
Yeah.
They're not the same mic to arm ratio. So yeah, anyway, sorry.
That's all right.
It's just like these old Gen 2s that were racing, they sag a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
So the biggest thing we've probably talked about it ever since it came out, the triple race
Yes.
for Pine Lake this year.
Yep.
What was the thought? What was the thought behind starting that? Any inspiration on, hey, we should do this, or?
I was just watching a video one day, and I was like,
Nah.
God, I miss the sound of triples, you know? And it might have been even an Austin Leak video, 'cause he's got them. He's got the GoPros, and you can hear them
Yep.
sweet sounding triples. And I was like, we gotta get this back to Pine Lake. And I talked to Scott Schuster about it, and he's like, yeah, that would be badass. And then I had to check with ISR and Todd Octoberg and all that. And I'm like, yeah, it's just another snowmobile race. So he said, make it happen. We can make it happen. So talked to Schuster about it, and they're like, what rules should we have? And he had a few suggestions, and I was like, well, how about we keep it simple on our end and not have any
Yeah.
problems? And
Yeah.
I was like, run whatever you brung. I don't want to tech shit
Yeah.
except for 600 cc's. You
Yeah.
know? So
There we go.
let her rip, boys.
That's all he's looking for, Jay.
600 cc and no turbos.
Yeah.
Yep.
And O2 and older.
Yep. 02 and older.
Huh. So yeah, Kyle has two 96 ZRTs,
Yeah.
All right.
and we got
Articats. Yeah.
an 01.
Yeah.
We don't know if the 01 was a good play or not because we don't know about the power valves.
Okay.
We don't know if it is going to hurt us or help us.
Being a limited year, 01, 02 was really the only 2 years that they made that exhaust valve engine.
Yep.
There's not a whole plethora of aftermarket and parts for them things,
No.
so that might throw a little banter in,
But like that TNS
but
sled,
they do make more power.
that TNS sled that Brian raced, that one had power valves on it. So
Yeah.
it's like, that's kind of what we base it off of. It's like, well, TNS trusted them for the Sioux, so
Yeah.
we should be able to trust it for Pine Lake.
Yep.
And I think at Nadawash there, me, you, and Dad rambled off at least 10 plus people we know that already have some.
Yeah, I think we're going to have 14 to 17 sleds. It wouldn't be surprising to get that much. So,
Yeah, a lot of Articats.
is there?
Yeah. I haven't heard of many Polarises.
Oh,
I think Nelson.
Nelson will build something.
Ryan is, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dorns will have a Skidoo, I think.
Mm-hmm. I talked to Dylan earlier this week or last week, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You
He
said
said
Brett.
if he doesn't get a Formula 3, he's going to race the 95 XCR.
Oh.
So,
I mean, like Soarings are building one down
Oh,
there.
yep.
oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. I think Brad Naplin's building one.
Yep. Yeah, I think even Wes might maybe race that one.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's
It's going to be a
Are
hit.
we going to get Leak out here or what?
no, he's too chicken.
He can't turn right.
He can't turn to
You
the right.
cannot turn right. No.
Didn't he say that? Didn't he tell us that he doesn't want to turn right?
Yeah, like I message him all the time that they don't turn to the right. They're only using half their sleds.
Just for a
Yeah.
little clout. He probably wouldn't place anyways out here.
Oh,
No,
I'm just kidding, but yeah.
I was gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
But his Polaris triple is set up for like ice oval, so it'd be too low. If he went over a berm or anything, it would just push that whole front cowling in and everything.
Yeah, he's got a big shroud on it.
Yep. And then he's building a Skidoo now this year, but it's gonna be just another oval sled.
yeah, them Michigan guys, they don't like to come out here.
No, they do there are a handful of guys that I talked to this last year at the Sioux that want to come to Pine Lake. Like
Okay.
it's on their list to come to Pine Lake, but it just never works out for them for some odd reason with sleds and whatnot. But,
Sure.
but it's on their list to make Pine Lake.
Good. I like to get them out here. I mean, they're more than capable of adapting to turning right. It's
Yeah,
just,
for sure.
Yep. Yeah, it's not that hard. You just can't take the corners as hard.
Yeah. And we've talked about it before of running an oval race like halfway to the left and then halfway to the right.
Right?
Yeah. Just have one straight stretch designated for the left and the right. Yeah.
I talked to the USSA guys last year about possibly putting a race on at Pine Lake, but after talking to the family and stuff, I was like, one race a year is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But them guys they race on man-made ice all the time, the USSA guys, you know. They used to race on lakes back in the day. Fun to get them out here again, but
Yeah. No, every Michigan guy I talk to, it's like, you got to come to Pine Lake. You got to race Pine Lake. Because we go all the way out there to race the Sioux. They can easily come here and do one race.
yeah. I mean, I even put up $4,000 for them to try and come take our money,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't do it.
No, nobody showed up this
$4
year.
grand,
No.
$4,000 plus the purse of whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's whatever, $10,000 to win Pro Open. They'd have won $14,000.
Yeah.
Did they win that on a half mile at all this year?
No, not any half miles, no. No, we had you on the phone after Pine Lake this past year when Pine Lake paid out $73,000 and not a single like other race pays even close to that. Like I understand that some race facilities have to pay their bills and pay their stuff, and in some race circuits they pay that's their business.
Yeah.
So they can't quite give all the money back like you guys do, but it's just the sport would be so much bigger if we could pay money back like that every weekend.
Right. I mean, like the junior riders were getting paid.
Yeah.
Sport riders, like Danielle was saying that her boy was pretty pumped to get a check, in the sport class. And
Brody even got a check.
I got a
for-
check for third in classics class. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was. I was happy with the trophy, but a check, hell yeah,
yeah, right.
freaking awesome. I couldn't believe it.
Yep. Well, like, I mean, of course, like the Iron Dog pays more, but it's $3,500 a person, or
Yeah,
that thing,
that's a
so
way different race.
yeah, and I mean, it costs $70,000 to go race it too.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So
Yeah.
per race team. So that's a totally different
Yeah.
story there. But yeah, like Brad Pake, I was talking to him at Nadawash this year, and he's, they started, his boy quit snowcross now, and now he's doing sprint cars and whatnot. And Brad was saying that dollar for dollar for expenses that it costs to run Pine Lake compared to running a weekend of Outlaws, Pine Lake's probably the more profitable
Yeah.
of all of motorsports right now.
Damn,
I
believe it.
So
Yeah,
I mean that, and he's been around motorsports all his life. So I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that says a lot to say that for what you got into Pine Lake and what you can win is pretty phenomenal.
And that's what makes it I'd say it's bigger than the I-500 almost. Just
Yeah, I mean, the I-500 gets their money. Contingency money from the factories is so much higher.
I mean, like the ditch racing I-500
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Like it just seems like it's just the money, the purse isn't as big.
Right, but that snowmobile club does it as a fundraiser for their club, so they don't do it for
Yeah.
they need a little profit from it to raise money for their snowmobile club, which is absolutely just fine.
Yeah.
At least we have an I-500.
Yeah.
So-
Well, even like the days when they were doing it at the casino there, the handful of last years, it wasn't like what like Brian had won back in the day.
Yep.
It had gone down from there.
Right. And then if you figure inflation in on these winnings, it's not that great,
Yeah.
I mean, Hallstrom said he got $2,400 to win the first Nadawash race this year or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's not the greatest, but you go dirt track racing in a modified, you're racing for 400 to win with an $80,000 race car.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We were playing video games this weekend for more money than that.
Yeah.
Please.
Wow.
How'd you guys do?
Oh, we did all right. We got like 13th out of 24 people. So, yeah, mid-pack.
Mid-pack.
Mid-pack, yeah.
Mid-pack ain't too bad.
That's a solid C right there.
yeah, solid C.
Right at average.
Yeah, average student. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Wait, it was $900 to win a video game tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Bemidji.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So the triple race, the 440 race, still happening.
Yep.
Any thoughts on more rules for that? If you're still going to do a 3-man team kind of race, or
I am open for suggestions.
Sure.
You know, I probably might even go to 2-man. I don't know.
sure.
Since we got the triple in there, a lot of the same riders might be too much for a lot of you guys to do a 3-man. I don't know. And we got to look at the scheduling too.
Yeah.
And I haven't really put much thought into the 440. We're going to get our 10, 12 racers, and
Yep.
that's going to be it. So,
Yeah.
But it's nice to see, you know, I'm thinking we'll stick to the 3-man because it's fun to see guys like Jeremy File out there in the C-main, you know, or whatever. So, yeah, we'll probably stick to the 3-man.
Sure.
I just don't have time to run it. I'd rather concentrate on getting the show done in 6 hours.
Yeah.
You know, and all that stuff. Because, we were done started at 9, we're done at 10 after 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect.
yep.
Yeah, no, both days ran
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was great all the way around.
Yeah, I'm a great delegator.
Yeah.
No, we got a hell of a team there. It's fun when things go good. And like them girls up in the race trailer this year, they knocked it out of the park for not having ever done it before.
Yes.
You know, so, yep. And it's nice just to go heads up on everything.
Yeah. Yep.
True.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
I feel like everyone likes that more, even like the spectators.
Yeah.
You know, way more enjoyable.
Even the qualifiers, man. The hell with that timing shit. You don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever comes across the line first wins.
Yep. I can't stand them timed races. I walked into the fish house a few years ago, and my mom and sister during the pro class were playing cards because they're
No, there's nothing to watch.
Sleds are driving by.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. It is what it is.
Yeah.
No one's in the lead.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. I like our lineup at Pine Lake, the order of classes for the day. Get the juniors out there on a smooth race course and hardly any snow dust. And then you get the pros, you know, they can go out the second race of the day and tear shit up and you know, get a little more time. Because I'm not a morning person. I could not stand riding at 20 below and 9 in the morning. You know, screw that.
No, it sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then especially the second day, you're sore and you got blisters. And, oh, yeah, you got to go give her hell and be top qualifier at 9 a.m. Oh, for dumb. You know?
And the track is as dry as can be. You're going to burn up high fast.
Yeah.
What other motorsports races pros at 9 a.m.?
Yeah, that is true. I didn't think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing runs their top class at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we could easily do like a noon qualifier and then our 2:45 or 2 o'clock race, whatever we race.
Wouldn't give you much time to fix whatever he had going on.
Hopefully, you don't have to fix anything.
Right. I do like giving the pros a little time. But,
Yeah.
Yep. But, so you race at 9 a.m., go burn 2 laps in, then you sit around till 2.
Yep.
You know, I can't stand that shit. Let the guys sleep in.
Yeah.
No, I get it. But I don't know. I like the way we got it. It seems to go good. We had record entries, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, big payouts help record entries. And hopefully we can get it done second week in December like we hopefully can. And
Yeah.
Build the ice.
Yep.
No, it's literally what me and Kyle look forward to all year.
Yeah.
It's literally-
Yeah. You talk about sleeping in. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning every day before Pine Lake. Or,
Yeah.
You know, going to the race. I'm checking everything off my list, and then I head up to the lake, and then I check everything off my list, and then I go to tech. And
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
I like sleeping in too.
Yeah. But I mean, we're limited on time too, because we have shortest days of the year
Mhm.
at that time of year.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like at Nadawash, I don't know why they don't start at 10:30 in the morning. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, well, people are drive from so far away. I bet you if you did try to start that they'd kind of maybe bitch about it a little bit, that they want to get out of there earlier, maybe.
They're always gonna bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, what other motorsports event is done at 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. When
Other than snowmobile race.
Supercross doesn't even start till 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it. You got to work tomorrow or whatever, but hell, we always race till dark on Sundays and in oval racing. Oh, did you know back in the day? I'm rambling, but like
stop.
when if you made a feature in USSA back in the early 90s, late or whatever in the early 90s, if you made a feature, you tore your entire engine down. No matter if you were the 12th qualifier or the first qualifier. And then you went out and ran the feature. They'd seal your engine, then you'd run the feature. They'd check to make sure your seals were still good, the fingernail polish.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to take your head off, your cylinder off, white pipes, everything, just to make the feature. Every snowmobile that made the feature tore right down.
Before the race.
Saturday night, that's what we did. We tore engines down. So,
Jeez. All right, see you later, Kyle.
Keep talking.
Yeah, no, we're just watching you walk.
So like, the two of the just random questions I had of the sled you'd bring back to run Pine Lake Pro Open.
Yep.
What would be your race that you wish you could go back on and just one thing, like I wish I could have done this and would have won.
Well, it sounds like you've had a lot so
Yeah.
far that you have explained to us.
yeah. I wish we'd have pitted at the Sioux.
Yeah,
Yeah. That one bugs the hell out of me still.
Yeah.
Yep.
just that 100 feet made the difference.
100-foot pit call.
Yep.
Yep. Just not ready to make a decision. Cost us a win.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had the field licked.
Yeah.
There's nobody touching us all day.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it got rough, but being a cross country rider, I wasn't going through the holes.
Yeah.
I had a big old 4-stroke and stuff. Oh, that 4-stroke won't work through the rough shit. Well, it works if you don't hit them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to hit everything square on.
No, you don't have to catch 30 feet of air, to do it, to go fast. I mean,
Yeah. If you got the speed down the straightaway, you can take a different line to avoid this hole and that hole. And
right. Yep. And then when I first started going to the Sioux, I called everybody they were basically sheep because they never, well, Corey did it, of course, but you go through the whole field and you'd pass them all, and then you'd show them your line, and because they were just hitting every damn hole out there. Them Yoopers were, man. They couldn't see, they couldn't envision a line out there until you passed them, and then they'd follow you. They'd follow you through the avoiding all the holes, and then they'd make your line rougher than hell.
Yep.
So then you'd have to go find a new one. So like when the yellow would come out, I'd always look for new lines.
Yep.
Because
you can't really it's really sketchy to try a new line during the race.
well, that's what sent me to the hospital that one time.
Yeah. True.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of, man, that Joe Birch team, I was watching that race, and he was on there at lap 450, and they pulled him off, and I was like, oh, they shouldn't have done that. And I was like, man, Joe had a line coming down in the one that nobody was taking. He was kind of up on the berm, on the snowbank at the finish line there. And I was like, well, he may be able to tell his next rider that's getting on about that line, but it took balls and timing to make it work, and he could have done it if he'd have found the line himself, but there's no way he could have found the line and made it work at that time. I was like, oh, they should have left Birch on that sled. But AC was flying at the end too. So.
Yeah. That line developed with like one ski like being up on the snowbank.
Yep.
And I didn't Faust had passed me doing it because I was running on the inside, And so I followed him. I was like, well, this is okay. But it really upset my sled on how choppy it got. It wasn't like a flat.
Right.
So then I got passed by somebody doing my old line. It's like, holy shit, that was the one line I was just running.
Right.
So I went back to that, and then that was the line that I held pretty much the rest of the race.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, it was crazy this year at the Sioux on how different the track developed than the last 2 years. And a lot of people said that, like on how just the whole backstretch was like chopped out down the whole backstretch, where usually it's just a little ways out into turn 2, but it had just whooped itself out the whole way down.
Sure.
So I don't know if it was because it was warmer out or what, but but it was different than the last previous 2 years for me.
Right. And another thing that, like, when I raced for Shane out there, the pace is so much different now because the sleds can handle it.
Yeah.
Back then, we used to have to baby the sleds.
Yeah.
Brian and I used to have to baby our sleds even in the cross-country races because they couldn't build them tough enough for me and Brian. I mean, Artie Cat would come up to us and like, well, where do you guys need, what do you need improvements on for next year? And then we know right there, well, they're not coming out with a new chassis. So, so then we'd like, well, we need guts down here because we'd crack them here all the time. On skid frames, we'd crack them here all the time, and and all this. And like one year at Detroit Lakes, I got my brakes so hot that I came into the fuel stop, and that was back when the pull ropes were down here on the side of the gas tank. And Dad fueled me up, and I went and pulled the rope and pulled it, and my rope got so hot above the brake caliper, it melted the rope. Yeah. So then the next year they moved it up here, because of me. So Dad went down and reached down there in the front clutch, and he flung the hood open, pulled the clutch cover out, went down there,
Spun the clutch
with his right hand, and the ZR440 fired right up. Off I went.
Oh, jeez.
Damn.
Don't kill it out on the racetrack.
Yeah, don't fall off.
Yeah.
Don't fall off.
Don't pull your tether. Yeah.
But it's like the conditions changing year to year on how awesome Pine Lake was this year.
Yep.
On how smooth the ice stayed like throughout the whole race weekend.
God.
Right.
Really.
And then the prior year it was rougher than hell out there.
Yep.
Just because the ice was just different.
Mm-hmm. I went through a lot of freeze thaws, snow, thaw, freeze. Yep. But yeah, I mean it was super cold. So.
Yeah, coldest weekend of the whole winter.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep. Oh my God, it was cold that weekend, but that Monday tearing it down.
Cold as hell.
Oh, the wind was just cranking, and me and Brian and Shu were out there, and it was just, it hurt to turn around and look into the wind. And we can handle some cold up here, but that was a son of a...
Yeah, there's limits.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, my first ever Pine Lake race, we had them big hooks on it, and you had cut out your windshield on them old ZRs.
Yeah.
Dad and I never thought nothing of it. Go out oval race 3 laps and come in and warm your hands up. Well, I didn't do that. We didn't. Shit, I don't even think we had hand warmers. And I had my hand out there for the whole damn race. And I came in and I just dropped to my knees. I didn't been in that much pain ever. I froze my hand so damn bad. And when it warmed up and the circulation came back, it was ultimate pain. It was just terrible. I mean, but the other guys, they had motorcycle gauntlets or whatever protecting their hand. Shit, we never had that. But then when Brian got into it the next year, we had all that shit for him. We had all that stuff for him, the extra hood straps and all that stuff. And, and then extra springs on your exhaust pipe. I broke them and fall out of a feature, and silicone on the exhaust springs. We didn't know any of that.
Someone's got to be the guinea pig. It just happened to be you.
Well, nobody knew, but all the other pros did, because they had it all happen to them years prior. So, and then we were the first ones to basically bring foot hooks into cross country, though.
What do you mean?
Didn't you guys used to fucking put belts? Yeah. Belts on the tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd put our right foot in a drive belt.
Yeah.
And then we'd lean into our left-handers, and we wouldn't even use our arms, basically.
Yeah.
You know, you just hold your body on with the foot hooks. Oh, that rode so nice.
Yeah, like our Sioux sled has one of those on it. It's not like a hook, it's just over in that kick plate there. It's like a flat strap or something.
Oh, yep. So nice.
I broke mine at Eagle River this year, where I was like leaning off coming into turn 3, and like I pulled my foot up higher than usual. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then get out of turn 4, and I look down, and it's just flapping there. It's
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is gonna be.
That foot hook at the Sioux actually saved me from falling off one year because somebody rear-ended me.
Oh really?
Yeah, and my arms came off the bars because I wasn't expecting it. And that foot hook, I was able to pull myself back up onto the sled. If it wouldn't have been for that, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd have been laying in front of that guy.
Yeah. Oh, unreal.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then sometimes, you know, you can, like if there's a guy on the inside of you, you can put your left cheek on his spindle and kind of take a little breather there.
No, I can't say I've done that.
Oh, really?
Nope.
Oh, I used to do that oval racing all the time.
Those oval guys are crazy. Like there's no love lost in hitting each other on those oval sleds.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. It was a lot worse back in the Formula 3 days. I mean, I watched Dinger and the Hools, or Steve and Sturgeon go off in Brainerd one time. That was one of the nastier wrecks I've ever seen. Dinger, I think he had 100 stitches on his back thigh up to his right cheek.
Oh man.
And his carbide just sliced him.
Oh,
Oof.
Oh, yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. Those were some men back then. I tell you what. And there was no fear. And talk about some beautiful, just absolutely beautiful snowmobiles they built.
Mm-hmm.
They were just magicians, and everything was just perfect on them. Tim Bender, Lee Falk, TS Racing. I mean, they were them Formula 56 sleds back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just absolute works of art.
That was where like the engineering like was just so far ahead of its time, or like it wasn't keeping up almost.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They were just innovation every chance they could.
Yep. And it was back then, I think the rule for Formula 56 was 56 horsepower and ski stands and carburetors, you know, and a certain size carburetor. And that was it. And they let them guys do what they wanted. And yeah, it was really fun era to witness.
Mm-hmm.
Brody, this mic arm is fucked up.
I know. We got to look at that one. Sorry about that, Chad.
There's a fat kid sitting on it or something.
It was usually mine, so don't say nothing bad about it.
Yeah.
No, I think we got a soft spot in the table.
Yeah.
That also, yeah. We got to like reinforce this table maybe, or
Yeah.
get a new one. I don't
Maybe.
know.
Build us a new one at work, Brody.
I'm not building you a new table at work.
Can we get a wooden one?
Yep.
Bolt shit down to?
Yep. Brody's the wood man.
Oh, okay.
He works at Northwest Cabinets.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'm not.
I bet he could do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I could. I'm
Have
doing
the
other people's shit. I'm working on the mansion right now.
Yeah.
It's called overtime for the cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
See, Brody, even our guests are complaining about shit.
Hey, it's my first ever podcast.
We never said this is fancy. we talk about how this is just sitting in the garage, and this is what we had in the garage.
Yeah.
Gunnar mentioned to me, yeah, come do our podcast. And I was like, what's a podcast?
Yeah.
That was earlier this year, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
You didn't even know what podcasts were?
no. I ain't got time to listen to this shit. I do now. I listen to you guys' stuff because I know you all, but yeah, I didn't know
What do you listen to when you're sitting in the tractor?
all that. I don't have XM radio or nothing there.
Oh, sure.
And a lot of places I farm, I barely get cell service. So
Sure.
by that 105.3 out of
Yeah.
Red Lake.
Yeah.
I talk about it all the time.
he
It's
talks
a
about
banger, ain't it?
Oh, I mean, other than the powwow music in the morning, that Red Lake channel is awesome.
It's awesome. I know.
And the powwow music, you can get into that somewhere.
Yeah, he loves it.
I love the 105.3.
There's that Johnny R on there,
Yeah,
that DJ.
yeah.
He's freaking hilarious.
I know it. I love it. And these guys don't get it, but it's like, that's all I listen to is 105.3.
Yeah.
I love it.
You guys can edit this out if you want, but I was in the tractor the combine one day, and he goes, "Yeah, pardon me for my Native American impersonation here, but I got a lot of Native friends, and I'm not racist, so I can do this. But yeah, I got a lot of. Everybody knows I got a lot of kids, you know, and gosh, just got a big van down in the cities last weekend, and guy walks up and he goes, "Hey, nice van." Goes, "Thank you." He goes, "You must haul a lot of people to a youth group, huh?" And he goes, No, I just got a big family." And then he goes, "I was up at the gas station up in Panema last week, and guy walks up and goes, "Nice van." "Thank you." He goes, "You must haul a lot of people to rehab, huh?" That's the DJ from the Red Lake Reservation saying that story. So.
The one time I was on there and it was like Godsmack was playing.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, hell yeah, fucking Godsmack's playing on Red Lake Nation Radio.
Then he
And
comes back to Vern Gosling.
Johnny R gets on there. He's like, "You're just swole if you're listening. And if you're in the gym and you're listening to that, you're just swole." Like, fuck yeah, Johnny R gets it. We got to get Johnny R in here.
Yep. Yep. Nothing but ace jams.
yeah. And then I learn Ojibwe when I'm on my way to work. They have the Ojibwe language. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Brought to you by BSU.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
I'll put a flag in the recording to remember what time that's at.
That's fine. If this one gets taken down, it's Chad's fault.
Yeah.
We know who to blame it on now.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times my farm equipment, that's the only channel I can get sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I stumbled upon it, like, this is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say whatever they want up there. Too.
Yeah.
They don't care about getting sued by nobody.
Yeah.
But just like us, there's not enough people listening to
Yeah.
really get in trouble. So
Yeah. Don't sue us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So anyway, getting back to snowmobiles, I guess I'll have to listen to the podcast now.
Yeah. You'll learn a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I don't know about that, but
I mean, probably the biggest secret was given out this episode. So
yeah, biggest secret so far.
Yeah.
I'll edit that part out.
Yeah, I should have flagged that one too.
Yeah. Getting back to my Polaris days there, Ryan Haugen was the engineer and stuff, and he came up with a way to count detonation on the top of your pistons. So you put a washer right on the top of the threads on their spark plug, and then he ran it to some type of counter, and he put a display on my handlebars, and he said, "You're going to be on the edge here, Chad," and it was during the Ironman 250, and he said, "When you get this detonation count to whatever certain number, you got to give it a half a choke." And I'm like, okay, and went out there, and you take off 2 at a time in the Ironman, and back then went out there, and I was battling with some other pro and hitting approaches, and it was pretty rough out. And you had this little goddamn display about 1/8 inch high and a half-inch wide, and I was trying to read it, because I was going on this straightaway, and it was rougher than hell. I'm like, I don't know if detonation's getting up there or not, and I couldn't, and I got better than perfect vision. And I couldn't read it, and all of a sudden, engine locked up. Like, son of a bitch. And get back, and he goes, "Didn't you look at the detonation counter?" I was like, "Haugie, I can't read that little writing, and stuff." And he's like, "Okay, I guess, and stuff," because he's used to reading the detonation counter going down the plowed racetrack, ice groove, Like, I'm in a ditch race, I can't read that, and whatever. And the river was rough, so I couldn't get a good read on it. But yeah, so then that's where he kind of invented the retarding the timing when the detonation got too high. He'd retard the timing on the fly on them Polarises. So And then he also did the exhaust valve ports where he'd build them up so much pressure and then they'd open up.
Yep.
All that stuff. So, yep. So I was kind of involved in a little bit of the development of that. So,
Yeah, that's cool.
yep.
There was some on the edge technology kind of. You're never going to do that on a normal sled.
Well, it's in all the sleds now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's where it started. Okay.
Right. Yep. So.
So what do you think is the biggest thing that needs to change in current day racing, Chad? Being that you're your race promoter now and everything, you've kind of seen every aspect of racing and been behind the doors of every aspect of it almost.
Yep.
You even helped the snowcross guys there for a year.
Oh, I was just a track guy.
Oh,
Yeah. 1 week in Duluth. I had a broken foot too, and I was flipping over crashed sleds.
Yeah.
Jesse Strait got me in that one, but yep.
oh, okay.
Yep. Wait, what was the question?
What's the thing that you would change about like the current race day snowmobile racing industry almost or something?
Well, I don't know. Like I say, it's cyclical. Right now, it seems that snowcross seems like it's a bunch of rich guys like NASCAR who've got a bunch of riders underneath them, and they're down to 12 or 13 pros right now.
Yep.
And it seems like they keep their semi-pros in the semi-pro way too long because there's not enough room in the haulers for the pro classes. And
Like the kid who just won Pro Light this year, the Pro Light Championship, Creighton Dillon, he's not moving up to pro next year, and he just won the championship.
Right.
Because they're saying because he's so young. It's like, well, you just dominated the Pro Light class. Why wouldn't you move up?
Yep. And that's something ISOC has to address themselves, is they should make them move up
Yeah.
at a certain point instead of sitting down there and winning 3 years of semi-pro championships. But I don't know, like the Warners or whatever, if they just don't, there's not enough room at the inn, so per se, for them to have a bunch of pro riders. But I don't know enough about snowcross to give an opinion on that, but they need more pro riders. There's just no question about it.
Yep.
I mean, three round robins is all they're doing now. That's just, I mean, it's the best that they can do for the 12 or 13 riders that they have. It's the best format they can do, but they absolutely need a full field.
Yeah.
They need a last chance qualifier. I mean,
I
and they need more money to win. But like ISOC, I mean, they got 75 hotel rooms they need a weekend.
Yeah.
And it's a spectacle. I mean, they put on a hell of a show. It's a great TV show. But to travel all over the North America and put on these races, it's just too damn expensive for them to pay out any money. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
I mean, that Carl Schuster who's running it or whatever, he's doing a hell of a job. And it's bang, bang, bang. I'm on their headsets when I was at Duluth that one time, and they got their shit together.
Yeah.
You know? But you look at cross country, and that's growing. You look at Myra, that's growing. Ovals, I don't know, Formula 3, that's a huge, total separate show. But Champ, everybody likes Champ. Formula 3, I like the concept of Formula 3. There's not enough entries in it other than at Eagle River.
Yep, for sure.
So,
And the only reason that there is that many entries at Eagle River is because they made it the world champion class.
right.
If they wouldn't have done that, Eagle River would have the same 5-6 guys that are racing it.
If they want to improve snowmobile racing as a whole, as an industry, it starts at the corporate ladder right now. They need, the board of directors need to commit from all three factories to go racing again, because that's where your research and development starts and ends.
Yeah.
Right there. They will find out more than any other damn test rider ever will where your weak points are, where you need to improve, where that, like I said, where it starts and ends is on the racetrack. And that's exactly where it needs to start. They need to put more money into the racing end of it, and it's not so much necessarily what sells on Monday or what wins on Sunday sells on Monday anymore. It's the research that they get from the racetrack, wrecking shit, and finding out where to improve it.
Yeah.
So that brings up a question, like, so everybody's, into these 850 engines, and Polaris is running 650. They don't even produce a 600 you can buy anymore. So, like, does that raise the question of they should raise the CC limit of a Formula 3,
Or of our cross country sleds?
or a cross country, because you can't even buy Arctic Cat, of course, makes catalysts and stuff like that, but Skidoo, but Polaris, you can't even buy like a 600. Really? Yeah, you can't go out to a dealership and buy a 600. You got to buy a 650. So
I don't know how they get away with that rule as being a stock based.
It'd be like just like NASCAR, you got to produce so many cars to make it back in the day anyways, have to produce so many cars to make it illegal to race. So I imagine it's probably close to the same idea, produce so many sleds. And
but I thought our first like stock base class rule was it had to be a production sled. Like
you can't even buy a cross country 600 from the dealership. So that's what
so
I
it's
don't
all through the race program.
Yep.
So like if the neighbor kid over here wants to start racing, he has to buy the sled through the race.
Yeah, he has to apply.
He can't go to Bagley Motorsports and go buy one.
No, he has to apply.
Not the cross country race sled.
Well, there's a problem right there, obviously.
Yeah.
Just like the RXC, the Catalyst, that was, you could buy them, but they weren't the same as
There's no more renting a sled and going and winning the
no,
on a Polaris.
No, you can't go rent a cross country Polaris. No.
Yeah.
So that was just one thing, like how we got into, race on Sunday, buy on Monday.
Yeah.
Can't.
Yeah.
Huh. So, if you talk to Joey Hallstrom, he was a race director in the 90s for Arctic Cat, and his race budget was like he had $2.5 million worth of sales of ZR440s that 1 year or something like that. And his race budget, he didn't have one. And I think Arctic Cat's race budget, they cut Don Haugen, the secretary. Their budget is non-existent. Now Mike Cloetti is his own secretary doing all the paperwork and all this stuff. And then their race team budget is basically pennies on the dollar. And they're still, winning and doing the best they can. But it starts at the corporate. Textron's got to get their shit together if they want to do anything as far as the racing goes. Because look at how far out to lunch the Catalyst was at Pinehurst this year. It was a parade of Arctic Cats at the back of the field.
Yep. Right.
You gotta, something's gotta change.
Yeah.
You gotta get your race. It's embarrassing that you had a parade of Arctic Cats at the back of the field at Natowash. And your Cataract team.
But last year, Herfindahl won Pro Open on the Catalyst.
Yep. So, and they'll figure it out, but they need to be on the track more. And they didn't have much time on the racetrack this year. But something's wrong. It's the money. It's just money. Is all it is. And Skidoo, they don't care about cross country. They don't care about enduro. They care about snowcross.
And you can tell, like in 2019, they took a step above everybody, and it's just been Skidoo domination since 2019.
Yep.
Because they invested in it pretty much.
Yeah, they're out there beating. So they got 4 riders, so they're beating 8 other riders in the world.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. So
Yeah, could
come race from Winnipeg to St. Paul again, and
exactly.
Let's.
Yeah, that's a true endurance, and
it's a real world thing. I don't know.
And these race sleds, I don't really get it. Like, why can't you buy them?
Yeah. What do you think why it is getting a lot harder and harder to get these permits now to run in the ditches? So I think that's the main thing that's
it's harder and harder to run in the woods.
Oh, really?
Ditches are fine. That's a right of way for the state or county
Sure.
ditches or whatever. But
Oh, okay.
but to run in the woods through DNR state grant and aid trails, it might be a thing of the past here shortly.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Just sad.
Never thought of that. Yeah.
So, and I feel bad for the new cross country circuit because they're going to go through that
Yeah.
and whatnot, and that's almost why you need, like, my idea for an I-500 start in Belcourt, North Dakota, at that casino out there. Run to Thief River one day, and then down to the Twin Cities the next. And you got whatever, or Belcourt, Monoman, Twin Cities, 2-day shot.
How are you going to get it into the Twin Cities, though?
Nick Rail's got it figured out. He can get it around the southern end and into that rich old casino down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Minnewacan Sioux or whatever, that they got the cash. They can swing around the southern end of the Twin Cities and bring it in that way.
Yeah.
We'd be down for a race.
Belcourt, North Dakota to Monoman, Minnesota. Swing her down around the Twin Cities and finish down there.
Huh.
Them Belcourt people out there love snowmobile racing. Absolutely love it.
That would be a sweet race.
Something to look into.
Yeah.
You can then race up through the buckboards, maybe through Park Rapids, and then down to the Twin. Might be a 3-day race, whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
You stop in Mille Lacs or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be a sweet
yeah,
race.
do that. Belcourt, Monoman to Mille Lacs down to the whatever that rich casino is down there. Yep.
That would be perfect.
Yep.
That would be fun as hell.
$100,000 to win, baby.
Yeah.
What? I mean,
Then you'd
It's a
get
casino, so yeah.
You'd get the entries then.
Yeah.
yeah,
There would be no shortage of entries.
Yeah.
absolutely.
This 24 hours of Pine Lake is not $100,000 to win.
No.
No.
If you put up $100,000 to win a 500 again, holy, I bet there'd be 300 entries.
Mm-hmm.
$100,000 to win and a $500,000 race purse. Pay back to 25th.
Oh yeah.
You put up $100,000 to win.
$2,000 to finish 25th, whatever it is. I don't know the exact number.
Give me 5 years, but I will fucking.
And yeah, that's what it would have to be able to get the riders and then to even get the eyes.
To make cross country racing great again.
Yeah, to even get like the watchers, the viewers of it again.
Yeah.
Because this has something too. There's not enough eyes on all this sport action to bring in that amount of money.
Right.
But they need to put in that amount of money to get the eyes
Yeah.
to pay it off.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go from Winnipeg to St. Paul again, but that frickin' king up there, that Trudeau idiot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hell, half the racing fleet wouldn't be able to get in a
They're
Canada.
fucking communists. This is why I don't like Skidoo.
They are turning communists. They are 100% turning communists in Canada. It is wild up there.
I mean, just everybody's driving records, nobody would be able to get up there.
Oh,
You
no.
know, it's just ridiculous. So they're just a bunch of fun cops up there in Canada, eh? Mounties.
But yeah, Valcourt, North Dakota. They don't give a shit in North Dakota.
Belcourt?
They don't give a shit.
You know, they call me Chief One Sock out there?
Chief One Sock.
Yep.
Good to know.
Yep. So I'm friends with a bunch of them, and I was at Moondance Country Jam, and they're Indian leg wrestling, and I was flopping all these big guys. I had pretty good technique. And then this one auntie, she came up and she goes, "I'll try you out, Chad." And we hit legs, and then we hit so hard my sock flew off. Now they call me Chief One Sock.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Listening to this is just going to be shaking his head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
yeah. But I mean, Belcourt, North Dakota. That's where the 1-500 was that one year. That Corey won in 03 or something like that.
Oh really?
Yep. I mean, they're big time snowmobilers out there, and I think the new
Was that the year they called it like the Jeep I-500 or something?
Nope.
That was the Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay one. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. So that was that, and then, but they're huge. I mean, Belcourt is like northern Minnesota. It's not a normal North Dakota thing that you imagine.
Yeah.
That Turtle Mountains up there is absolutely beautiful. So it's just brainstorming, but I mean, if you can get the casinos to put up big money, fill up their hotels every night,
Mm-hmm.
and then have a big draw. Think of what they pay for a concert. You know, they pay $100,000 for whoever to come in, put on a concert, have them put up $100,000 each at all three sites, and fill up their hotels. Everybody drinks all night, pit crews and stuff.
And they don't have to do anything except put up money.
Put up money, hold a driver's meeting,
Yeah.
you know, and fill up their bars and tables. I mean, guys do nothing but gamble all night. Start the races at 10:30 in the morning.
Coming back to that now. Okay.
Yeah.
We start at 10.
Yeah. I mean, that way the pit crews drink all night like they used to, and the casinos make all the money, and they're like, we want to have you back again next year.
Yeah, everybody's happy
So
at the end of the day.
Then you charge $1,000 to enter, and next thing you know, you got, or whatever, and next thing you know, you got a $500,000 race purse. Boom, you got a 500.
Yeah.
Get your permits, ready to rip.
That is a good idea, though, to run all the casinos. That's a fucking
That's
great
what
idea.
ISOC used to do.
Yeah.
They just go to where the money was. Instead of these local resorts or whatever who's got to put up $8,000 to $12,000 or whatever it is to bring a race circuit in, go to a casino. Hotels are there, lodgings there, entertainment's there, food and drinks are there, and the money is there.
That is why the snowcross goes out to that race in New York.
Yeah.
That's a casino there that puts up a lot of money.
Yeah, and that Deadwood's kind of the same concept.
Yep.
But, yep. Do you know that I came up with a name ISOC?
Yep. Yeah, I knew that. Yep.
How'd that come about?
Back in the day, there's all these snowmobile clubs putting on all these races, and somebody came up with the idea, let's all coordinate and get a race circuit put together. So they met a couple times then at the Holiday Inn in Bemidji, and I went there with my dad, and they're like, well, what should we name it? And they're throwing out a bunch of names, and stuff, because there's Canadian races up there and stuff, and then I was like, well, they got the IROC series now, International Race of Champions, where they bring in IndyCar drivers, NASCAR drivers, and all that and sprint car drivers, and they'd all run all the same stock cars on different racetracks across America, and it's called IROC, International Race of Champions. Well, why don't we just call it the International Series of Champions instead of IROC? And they all looked at each other, looked at that little kid in the corner. It's a pretty good idea.
You get any money from that?
Yeah, I collect about $50,000 in royalties a year on that. John Daniels,
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, ISOC. Yeah, just one letter. That's all it needs.
Yep.
Cool.
Kind of robbed it from IROC, but yep. But yeah, I mean, all it's going to take get snowmobiling into it again. You need Skidoo to get back into cross country and enduro.
Yeah.
Because right now, cross country and enduros are just a Polaris and Arctic Cat battle.
Yep.
And Arctic Cat's got minimal budget. Polaris is putting in the effort, but
Skidoo just has like Brian and Jesse and Wes as like the cross country people as the main team, and the Dorns doing the Iron Dog stuff and some cross country stuff. But then like for enduro, it's just the Town Brothers pretty much.
Yep. And the crowds at the enduros and the following that they have is it's really good right now.
Yeah.
And cross country is growing. Look at the entries this year for the race circuit. I mean, it's just got to get to the board of directors at the corporate level to switch their focus, basically. I mean, like I said, cross country is just, 5 or 6 guys with a lot of money, and thank God they do, who are supporting their sport right now. And because, Kylo did it this year. Chad Kylo, he went out there with York and proved that you can do it out of a fifth wheel trailer with pulling with a pickup and run with the top dogs. But other than that, nobody's done that for years.
No.
So hats off to them. But yeah. I don't know.
No, that's what it does.
What do you think? Or am I wrong on all that, or?
No, that's what it does come down to is just money and R&D and just putting more effort into it.
Yep.
Just mainly money.
Yep.
And allocating it to where it should be going to make it better. Yeah.
I mean, for the budget Mike Cloetti has at Arctic Cat, he's doing a hell of a job right now.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, he's one of the hardest working guys in the snowmobile industry right now. I feel so bad every time I have to bug him for something. Like just if I want to order something, it's like, Mike, I know you got probably 30 other people emailing you right now, but can I get this one part, please?
Yeah, and he has no secretary.
No.
You know, and yeah, stressful job, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, RDCat was just about under a few years ago, too. So,
yeah,
they got to rebuild. But it starts on the racetrack and ends on the racetrack, in my opinion. But that's coming from an old racer and not a guy cutting the checks at the corporate level either.
Yeah.
So, a lot of stories behind that, or a lot more behind the scenes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. More than I'd like to know.
Right.
Got any? How long have you been going for there, Brody?
249.
Holy shit.
Flies by when you're doing it, doesn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like bullshitting at the bar. Just
Yeah.
it's easy to talk about snowmobiles for that long.
So what we can look forward to, 24 hours of Pine Lake and casino races.
Yep, exactly. I mean, the only problem with them casino races is who'd be the title sponsor. You know, 'cause it'd be 3 different tribes doing it. So that would be the issue there. But I mean, you could stop in Thief River or Manoma, whatever. Could care less. And even if you did 4 casinos, 4-day race, it'd still get some snow, and you could have a lot of history out there. And I think they need to, in cross country, they need to get rid of a bunch of classes.
Yep,
there's too many classes.
For sure.
You need more riders in all the classes.
Yeah.
In less classes.
Yeah. There's a lot of semi-pros that should be pros, and a lot of sport that should be semi-pro, and, you know, there's too many mixtures.
Yep. And then this improved shit.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. Most people aren't even changing anything on their
Right.
sleds.
What is improved? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it open or is it stock?
You can put
it's
a can on your sled, an exhaust can.
Another $250 entry is what it is.
Yep.
You know what? There's a reason why rodeos are only 2 hours long, and that's because that's about all the crowd can sit through. Is a 2 hour show, because there's a thing called slack in the rodeo. If you go, like, there's a bunch of can chasers, barrel racers, or whatever, but they only let a dozen of them go out there per rodeo in front of the crowd. Right? But then there's probably 30 more that compete in the morning before the rodeo.
Oh, sure.
So then whoever has the best time between all 40 of them wins the actual rodeo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for me to sit through a 2 hour rodeo, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, I am. I used to ride bulls. I love that shit. But yeah.
Yeah, that's how crazy you are. You rode snowmobiles and freaking bulls.
Ask me which one's more dangerous.
Which one is more dangerous?
Snowmobile,
Yeah.
by far. Absolutely.
God, I don't know. God damn. I haven't been on a bull, but I've been on snowmobiles. So, snowmobiles hurt me more than bulls have. So, they're more dangerous for me.
No, I'm more nervous about, like, racing the Sioux or whatever than I would be getting on a dozen bulls.
Damn, that's crazy. I don't know how those guys do it. I don't know.
I'm not at the PBR level either. Where,
No.
You know,
But still, just getting on a cow at a farm. Fuck that. I'm not doing that shit.
yeah.
You wouldn't jump on a cow?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll jump on a horse. But
Horse is fucking
I'd
scarier
rather
than a
jump
cow.
on a cow than a horse.
see, I don't know. I'm just weird.
Well, see, here's the other thing. When I first started bull riding, I borrowed shaps and rope and stuff from spurs from a buddy. I got to call him up later that summer. Like, hey, think about riding broncs or bareback. And he rode bulls for many years. And he goes, why would you do something so stupid for? I was like, oh, okay, never mind then.
Stick to the bulls.
Stick to the bulls, he said.
Damn, that's crazy.
We should get you on a horse.
Oh, we damn near had Keith Wojo come to Pine Lake this year.
Oh, no.
Really?
Yep. Wojo's rodeo.
Yeah.
Yep. But he is, I think his team owner that he rides for the oval racing circuit put the kibosh to that. I think cross
I
country
kind of
is
heard
a little,
about that a little bit.
a little too dangerous or whatever for the oval boys, but Yeah.
Oh, I would say I'd rather
Oh, the
Lake
only
Le Mans than
difference-
oval race
Yeah,
for
the only difference he's got to turn right at Pine Lake.
Yep.
danger wise.
Yeah, we're gonna get him on a 440 and probably a sports sled. Oh, I gotta put the word out there. There's a guy from Alaska who wants to run semi-pro next year at Pine Lake. So if anybody's got a ride, like a John Arneson got an extra sled or something, they could throw him on. He wants to come down and ride. So contact me.
Scott Preston, he's you're staying at my place for Pine Lake. You're coming to Pine Lake.
Oh
and-
yeah,
and
we
then-
got some guys from out east
Yeah.
even coming.
Oh, good.
East Coast.
Right on.
They're coming to Pine Lake.
And we
Sweet.
got to make the sacrifice. We got to go out there for a race next year or years prior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Eckery said it was fun out there.
We went to one in Vermont, and it looked like a blast.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh yeah, and Herf went out there.
yeah.
Yeah, he went out there this year.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, Kenny's out there all the time, so
Yeah.
Another good one you should get on here is Scott Schuster.
Yeah.
Mm,
Oh yeah. There's a lot of people of
He's got a lot of good stories.
the stories would be endless.
Yeah.
Of,
So where does Scott live?
Grand Forks. North of Grand Forks a little bit.
yeah. Yep. Yeah. Like there's a long list of people to have on here.
Oh yeah.
Right.
The stories would be endless with just some people. There's so much knowledge.
We keep trying to think like DJ would be a good one,
Yep.
you know.
You kind of asked him though, and he
Well, he just he's not into snowmobiles anymore, like hardly at all. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah.
So
No. He pulled the pin on her all family time now.
yeah.
that's what it is.
Yep. But yeah, I read an interview one time. Somebody asked Ryan Simons if you're leading the I-500, who's the one rider you wouldn't want to have behind you? He goes, DJ Eckery.
Like we could probably get him on if it was him and Brian.
Oh
at the
yeah,
same time.
Yeah,
Then
that
he
would be
come
the
on.
thing
for sure. Yeah, they
Yeah.
got some stories your children would not want to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta say that the F-bombs have dropped down significantly since Brian's show. Thanks.
Yeah, I got
that.
a comment
Yeah.
from HR
Oh,
department.
okay. All right. Yeah.
I never said anything. No, I kind of did. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
What the F's wrong with that?
Well, last time we said we were going to have a swear jar.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what it is. Swear jar now.
Yep.
So, yeah. Then that money's got to go to something. So,
Right.
More beer.
Yeah.
The beer money.
I even brought my own.
We had a
we
fridge.
got a fridge.
Yeah, we got a
full for you.
Yeah, didn't Gunner say we were gonna supply the beer?
I
You
did.
did,
Yeah.
but I hate to run out, so I brought my own.
Yeah, true. Okay.
Yeah.
Comes
You want a
prepared.
Then I
happy
walked
dad?
in. Then I walked in and it said Miller Lite. And they're like, oh,
No, that's
I brought
not.
my own.
That's not what's in there.
Yeah. We got to get one that says Happy Dad, and then we'll have a sponsorship.
There you go.
Monster fridge.
Monster.
Yeah.
Monster fridge.
There you go.
Have beer and Monster in the fridge. But no, yeah. Kids listen to the show. Some people said too many
Yeah.
F-bombs. It's
Right.
like, yeah, true. This is
I don't know who that was, but
Yeah. Hey, what do you do with my old helmet I gave you?
I got it. So I got plethora helmets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anybody listening, we got Chad Dyrdahl helmet, along with all the windshields and a lot of other old helmets and stuff.
Yeah.
So I still got it. It's hanging right next to the other ones.
Okay.
I look at it every morning. It's my motivation to work out.
There you go.
Yeah. No.
That thing was beat up.
Yeah. It's
It
sweet.
was.
it's sweet.
I might steal the paint, like replicate the paint off of it sometime.
yeah,
and
sure.
make my own. But
Hell yeah.
we'll see.
That'd be badass.
Yeah, because they did wild stuff back in the 90s, you know.
Yeah. I told you about it, but there's a big chunk out of it right here.
Mm-hmm.
And during the I-500, we left Winnipeg one year, and to cross some 4-lane highway, or I think it was the interstate or whatever they call them up there, but they brought us through this big ass culvert, but it was flooded halfway up, so you could barely get a snowmobile through the damn thing, right? And you're just kind of bouncing off the sides, and you had to hold your head down. You had to kind of kiss your gas tank, and the windshield was kind of scraping the top of it.
Holy shit.
And it was probably 100 yards long.
Damn.
I'm like, God damn, it's taking forever. And you're kind of just going through there, bouncing off the sides. And I was like, I got to look up and see how close we are. And of course, that culverts are put together in sections. And I look up right at a section where a joint was, and bang! Fucking, I put my head down to the side. I'm staring at my gas tank, and I'm seeing stars and shit. Gave myself a little concussion.
Oh my God.
Yep. Yeah. And then get out, and then all of a sudden daylight, and look up, and where the hell am I supposed to go now? And the arrow's pointed that way, and I'm going down the ditch, just kind of in la land. You know?
Why the hell did they run you through a culvert like that?
Because it was crossing an interstate.
Oh, okay.
Because we couldn't shut down the interstate or something.
God
said,
damn.
So we had to go through that. You know how wide interstates are from ditch to ditch?
Yeah.
So it's a long ways and a...
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, there's a little egg taken out of the top of the
Oh, yeah. And that's back when they didn't check helmets. They didn't let you run whatever you brung.
Yeah.
So I mean, guarantee it would never
Oh,
pass
this
check
one doesn't
today.
look anything special. It's the foam cheek pads, but it's all just styrofoam. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shit was junk back then. Yeah, there's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a super cool piece in my collection.
Yeah.
It's still yours. I'm just borrowing it for now.
Yeah. No. You can keep it. Yep.
But it's got a silver visor on it.
Oh, that's Jesse Striggs, actually.
No,
I ran through too many visors.
another thing you borrowed.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it had a showy
Yeah.
visor or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Flopping around. I had to duct tape it on. It
Yeah.
said Snowcross on the thing right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. 65 on the
Yeah.
the nose cone.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
number.
I think that'd be super cool to replicate because Herf had one that he had Troy Lee, I think. Somebody
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Painted one.
HCP, I think.
is that what it
This
was?
Yeah.
Painted it all up. I
Yeah.
thought that was cool as hell.
All the Team Arctic racers had one
Mm-hmm.
similar to that.
Mhm.
The exact same thing that year. So,
Yeah, I think it'd be cool as hell to replicate something like that. Anyways,
yeah.
Is that kind of, you're talking like the checkered was on the nose cone and
the
then
checkered's on the back on this one.
Mm.
It's
Oh, really?
It's purple.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And it was like a purple up here and then orange on the very back.
Green and
A lot of
then
white.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bunch of cool shit on it.
Yep.
No, Chad, this is awesome to get you in here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
And we probably only scratched the surface on the amount of stories you have.
Yeah.
Just
I was going to tell you about that Goodrich race one time, but that's all right.
that's what my dad always says is the Goodrich 100. Is that where
Yeah.
he said that was one of the funnest races that they had
Yep.
back in the day.
Yep. Yeah, I was in college at the time, and me and Brian took off in the flight together, and I think I partied till like 3 or 4 in the morning the night before, and I show up at the racetrack, and I'm like, oof, I better give her hell, so Dad didn't know I drank all night, you know. and I took off with Brian, and it was rough that year. There were some deep holes, and I had a pretty good lead on him. We took off side by side and had a pretty good lead on him. And we took off from Goodridge and went to the Gully Road and went down south on the Gully Road. And it was one of them years where we got a bunch of snow, but it melted off the shoulders and stuff and down into the ditch.
Yeah.
And then the snowplow on that one particular road approach, I came up over the road approach and I went to go down the back side, but the snowplow had stopped there and just left it straight up face. And I was the first pro to come through, and I hit that, and it just, boom, it shot me out into the highway. And I landed on the highway, just straight sideways on the highway. and there was cars coming and shit, and there's cars behind me, and I just let the sled go, and then the sled landed back on its skis, thankfully, and just went right down the tar. But I went ass over tea kettle, and then I took off running. I think David Bakke witnessed that one.
Oh, really? I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, and then so I got up.
Of course, If anyone's out there watching, it would be David Bakke.
Yeah. And so then I took off running, and I got back up to my sled, and I just got the tether, and then my brother comes by me again. And then got going again, and then we got down to the river road, and I passed him on the river road going back to the west. Excuse me. And then I just given her and came up to this another road approach, and like I said, the snow plowed wing shit off down in the end of the ditch. And it looked just fine. And I went over the snowbank, and the way I went over the snowbank, it nosed me right, or shot me right into the face of the dirt road approach. I hit that dirt. And I went straight into the goddamn air at whatever, I was doing 80 mile an hour or something like that. And when you get that big air, all you hear is just the whistling of the wind and the tracks. And it was just, and the wind was pushing me sideways, like, oh. And then I just I landed, and the sled shot out from underneath me as soon as I landed. And then I was another 20 feet in the air after that, and the sled was underneath me, and the track was just whipping like this, and I was trying to be a bird, and fly out of the way from landing on a spinning studded track. And then I landed off to the side of it in the snow, and oh man, my hip hurt after that one. And I was like, and Nathan Titus was in that race too, and I was like, oh, son of a bitch. And I flipped the sled over, and Brian comes by. I give him a thumbs up. And then I'm like, screw it. Dad, I knew our budget was, we needed the win. I was like, well, first and second will be fine. So I'll just follow Brian. And he won, and I finished a couple 100 yards behind him. I got second. But anyway, the second time around on that lap, I came around, and it was 50-mile laps, and I came around the next lap, and there's a cop car there with his lights on, and they're slowing everybody down. Long story short, I hit that fucking road approach so hard that they called 911 and sent a deputy out there.
Holy shit.
Because when I hit it, I flew higher than the power lines on a 96 ZR 440. And I flew a long goddamn ways, too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and like I said, I was still in college, and I walked into my technical trigonometry class Monday afternoon. I was limping pretty good, because it hurt my hip. And Al Swanson was my teacher, and he goes, I'm amazed you're still walking, kid. And I go, what do you mean? Well, I watched you fly higher than the power lines this weekend. I was like, oh. I said, are you the one that called 911? No, that was another guy. He said,
Oh, jeez.
Holy shit.
yeah. So that was that Goodridge race, though. I learned a lot following Brad Pake that one time. He passed me, and I didn't know what to do. Like it was a black ZR I had. It must have been 93 or whatever, and I couldn't keep chains on and whatever, and I'd strip the drivers out or whatever, and I just didn't know how to match the power to the ground because they didn't build them. You couldn't land with them on the power back then. And or else I'd break and bend shit all the time because I was riding too hard. Well, I better follow Brad here and try and learn some stuff, and then basically they said I was the only one to keep up with Brad Pake that day. Like, well, I was just trying to learn from him. And I did learn a lot in the ditches and minimum maintenance roads where they're really rough and all that stuff and whatnot. Another time I learned a lot was down in Spicer, Minnesota. They had a lake race, and I qualified like 15th or whatever. And I think I might have qualified front row, but I blew a belt the first lap, and it was wrapped up, just spider webbed everywhere, wrapped up in everything and all that shit. And it took me forever, like 10 minutes to get it all undone. I put a new belt on, and I took off again, and I was like, well, we'll just go for points, 'cause I couldn't even see anybody ahead of me. It was we're on a bunch of islands on a beautiful lake down there. And then I looked back, and I was like, oh, there's Kirk Hibbert coming. And I was like, he's leading the race. And so I pulled over and let him get by me, and I followed Kirk for the next 7 laps,
Yeah.
And it was a 10-lap race, and follow him for the next how many laps there, and I'm like, okay, this is what he does here, this is what he does there, and then I pull up beside him and give him thumbs up, every once in a while, because I just cheering him on, I want Artie Cat to win back then and all that. And then he came up to my dad afterwards, and he goes, I thought that little shit was in second place and just messing with me. Because Kirk had a big old lead on the rest of the field, but I was able to.
Yeah.
Of course, I was relaxed, and that's another thing I learned was I had to relax and not power myself through every corner. And he was taking totally different lines, which saved his strength too. So that taught me a lot, and that's why like these guys that sit in semi-pro all the time are like, man, you guys got to jump up because you'll learn so much more following a pro than you ever will following other semi-pros or racing with them and all that. And another thing I tell parents too is, it's probably dangerous running pro. I was like, no, it's not, because I've crashed at Albertville one time and I was sliding down the ice and all these pro riders just split me like like Moses opened the sea. And a semi-pro or a sport rider would not be able to do that. Their skills that they took to avoid not killing me was just phenomenal. Yeah. And there's been many situations where other pro riders have scattered, and I've been one of them to scatter and get your arm up or whatever, and just the amount of instincts and reflexes to know what to do saves other riders. So I feel even if your guy is running 20th out of 24, as long as he's improving every weekend and learning, I think that these riders should be jumping up more early in their development if you feel like your rider is in control.
Yeah. There you go, Kyle. Pro.
Yeah, man, that's in the plans. I mean,
there you go. Yeah.
You can't run a 98 XC700 in the pro classes. It doesn't tech.
Get on the program.
Yeah, it's not legal.
Yeah.
Go rent one.
They won't let you run a 2000 XC in the pro class.
Yeah. No.
Well, 310.
Damn. Our longest show yet, Chad.
Is it?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Boy, sorry, I'm long-winded.
No,
3 hours,
that's
10
fine.
minutes.
Like it.
Like Gunnar said, you barely scratched the surface with everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's with
as soon as
all of our guests.
As soon as we shut everything off, like when we had Dad in here, he instantly said, I had like 10 more stories I just thought of.
Yep.
Every single time.
Right. Yeah, we can go on forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we could do 10 episodes with almost every guest we've had in here. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, no, it's you guys are doing a good thing here. I mean, otherwise people never hear this stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And like we hear it all the time just from being around
in the
everybody.
circle.
Yeah, our childhood stories,
Of sitting in the garage when everyone else is talking about the good old days and stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or it's just it's a cool. There's a lot of cool stories that need to be told.
But I will say that one thing for sure is cross-country racers have the best damn stories.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
God. They've lived a good life cross-country racing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Snowcross guys, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, you went to that city and rode on the same track?
Yeah, yeah, beat the same 12 people.
Yeah.
Good for you. No, I mean, them snowcross guys, they can whoop some ass. But, I mean, I can beat them on ice, and they can smoke me on. I wouldn't even hit the shit they hit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're just giving them shit is what I'm saying.
Pretty much, yeah.
But once them snowcross guys come over and do cross country, they're hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
They're like, holy shit, we get all this seat time, and it's constant fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Most time anyway. So, yeah. All right, I got to get in farming mode, boys.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyone else you want to shout out or thank or whatever?
Nah, I'm
Nah.
good.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Good to hear.
No, thanks again for doing this,
Yep.
Chad.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We really
you bet.
appreciate it. So thanks
Awesome.
for watching. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.
See you guys.